is suing her ex-daughter-in-law, 29-year-old Sarah Hubel, for defamation of character, slander, and lost wages.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Neville versus Hubel. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Neville, Miss Hubel?
Yes.
Is your former daughter-in-law?
Correct.
She and your son have been divorced for 5 years? How many children do you have?
Just one.
How old is that child?
He's 9.
All right, now, Miss Neville, I have a few questions for you. While Miss Hubel was married to your son, did you get along?
Yeah.
Did she come over to your house for dinner?
Well, actually, they lived with me till he was almost 2.
So, she lived with you?
Correct.
Must have gotten along.
Yes, we did.
And when they moved out into their own place, did they still come back with your grandson?
Correct. I babysat him when they worked, whenever they went out.
But then the marriage went south.
Correct.
And it is your claim that your former daughter-in-law has embarked upon a campaign of harassment, slander, defamation of your character that has gone on for a very long time. You want her to pay for that. Ms. Hubel says quite the contrary. When she was in the midst of a custody battle with your son, you called Child Protective Services on her often. You've harassed her over the years with complaints to Child Protective Services and the police.
Oh, yes.
And as a result of that, she's filed a counterclaim. When did the trouble start with Miss Hubel?
My son was taking my younger son, Dylan, and Jeffrey back to drop him off at his mother's work, the daycare. I was in between my bus routes. I'm a school bus driver. It was pouring down rain. He doesn't drive. So I ran down and gave them a ride up the hill about 1,500 feet to the daycare and dropped him off in front. And my grandson was ecstatic. Grandma dropped him off in the bus. I wasn't on my route. He ran in and I saw him gather all the kids that came to the window and they're all waving at me. So I smiled and waving at him. She walked over and slapped him and told him to get away from the window. I'm sorry. My older son was there, and they turned from the window. Her and the employees that worked, who were friends of hers, said, "Let's call the school district and get her in trouble." I didn't know what was going on at the time. I went back on my route. I get a phone call on my bus. My supervisor goes, "Debbie, what's going on?" I go, "I don't know what happened." She said, "Some lady called and said you kidnapped her kid on her bus." And I said, "No, the only thing I did was pick up my grandson and my son." I was mortified.
So that's when the trouble started. What happened with that incident, Ms. Hubel?
Actually, what had happened was, after numerous amount of times of her dropping Jeffrey off on the school bus without permission, I called the school district and spoke to her supervisor, with whom I have a letter stating that I was not harassing in any way, and that she was spoken to and told that he was not allowed to ride that school bus because he was not assigned that.
Okay. Had you, in the past, told your mother-in-law that you didn't want him riding the school bus?
No, we were not to be speaking at that time.
Why not?
There was orders.
So that the trouble started before that?
Oh, yes.
Well, then that's what I'm asking. I want to know when the trouble started.
The problem started actually before I left Joshua, my ex-husband. Probably it was the first time that he was arrested for assaulting me. My son was 2 at the time. From that point on, there was no kindling of the relationship with me and Debbie.
Okay. How many times had he been arrested for assaulting you?
Twice for assaulting me. The last time he slammed me into a wall and tore my rotator cuff, and I had to have surgery.
Has he been convicted?
He sure has.
Did he serve any jail time?
Yes, he did.
How long?
He was sentenced to 30 days, but he ended up having an ankle bracelet because of whatever kind of medication he was taking. They wouldn't allow in the jail.
What kind of medication does he take?
Marinol.
What is that for?
I don't. All I know is that it's THC in a pill. I don't know what it's for.
What kind of ailment does he have?
None that I'm
Do you
aware
know?
of.
Yes.
What?
He has a cancerous esophagus. He has a heart condition, and he has epileptic seizures. So
Okay.
he's on.
You didn't tell me he was convicted of assaulting his former wife.
I need to clear something up.
Uh-huh.
Number one, the lease was in my name. I rented the building because it gave them an opportunity to have their own place.
I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
My question, Ms. Neville, is I asked you when the trouble began, and what you said was it started over this bus incident, which would have sounded really petty to me.
Yeah.
For her to file a complaint if she had a problem with you. You would all live together, pick up the phone and say, Debbie, I don't want you dropping Jeffrey off on the bus. But that didn't happen.
Correct.
So the problem started before. And common sense would indicate to me you would have not been happy with your son's arrest for assault and spending any time in jail. And that probably precipitated the bad feeling between the two of you, which predated the school bus incident.
No, did it? She misled you on that fact.
No,
So what you're saying is the assault occurred before the school bus incident.
Oh, yes, this was before we were divorced. The first incident was before we were divorced. The second incident was in February of 2003.
And when was the school bus incident?
January 30th, 2003.
What was the second assault about?
He had came into where I worked, All About Kids, to do a visitation with my son. He came to pick up Jeffrey, and he slammed me into the door jamb of a wall and tore my rotator cuff, took off with Jeffrey. The police came. They went and found Josh and Jeffrey.
What was the altercation about?
A coat. A coat.
Now, I understand that you don't like each other. Don't like each other, I don't get involved in. You claim lost wages and punitive damages for defamation of character.
Correct.
You have 1 minute.
She called my boss. I have documentation when she called, and they logged it over to my boss. There's no mention that she's my daughter-in-law, that that's my grandson, or my sons that I'm picking up. It says that unknown people and her son. He was on a visitation with him, and his father gave permission for him to ride the bus. So I have permission to give him a ride on my bus when
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if there is a court order of visitation, the court order of visitation provides that the child is to be picked up and returned at a specific location.
Correct.
Not by you.
Not by me.
But by his father.
And his father was on my bus. Let me explain, okay?
No. I want you to tell me what the lawsuit is about.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, I go back, I talk to my boss. My boss says, get an anti-harassment order because we don't want to deal with this problem. I did. I went before a judge.
All you had to do was stop taking your grandson off the road that you were supposed to be traveling with other children and not drop him off at the daycare.
Well, I hadn't had an opportunity not to do that.
But, Miss Neville.
I did what
Miss
the officer
Neville
told me.
No.
The judge.
That's, first of all, that's hearsay.
Excuse me.
Listen to me.
Explain this. You're twisting this.
I'm not twisting anything.
You are.
Now listen to me.
She's saying there was a DV assault, but they had got reconciled. They got together. They moved out. They left. She got caught cheating, having an affair with a high school kid.
Listen to me carefully. All you had to do.
Well, she doesn't mention that to you.
Just
I mean,
a second.
come on.
I'm talking about you and your lawsuit,
Okay.
which I'm going to lose my temper over in a couple of seconds.
Well, I've had to deal with it for 5 years. How do you?
You don't get 5 years' worth, madam. What you're going to tell me is about lost wages.
Correct.
And punitive damages for defamation of character and slander. Get there.
What it had to do with is the whole school year of 2000 and 2004, she continued to make attacks on my person by making claims that my grandson's scared of me. She wrote the school this. She tried to get me removed from my school route by writing the school district.
Show me.
This is the statement, one letter that she wrote.
Okay, so after you stopped bringing him to the daycare, and there was no problem with that, she wrote this to the school.
Correct.
And you claim that this is harassment. I want to know what this is a legal claim.
Yeah, she claimed she didn't want Jeffrey to speak to me or be near me, that he was scared of me.
Okay. She contacted the school, to whom it may concern. You sent this to the elementary school? And it merely says that she does not want, for whatever reason, which she outlines here, she doesn't want Debbie Neville to contact him while he's at school.
Your Honor, the reason why is because there was an incident with Debbie and my son Jeffrey at the school. I have a letter from his principal in regards to that, as well as a letter from my son's therapist that he's been seeing since kindergarten regarding the incident.
The therapist in September of 2003, and I don't want to go back there, says it's best for him not to have contact with you. Okay. Get to 2005. Okay. I want to hear how you have a lawsuit against Miss Hubel for lost wages and defamation of character. Okay. This is not a therapy session, Miss Neville.
I know.
This is a lawsuit. So get there.
So several times I had that anti-harassment order, I had to call the police and report incidences with her, and I have copies of a few of those.
Not interested.
And so the following...
I'm not interested. I'm interested in defamation and lost wages. And if you can't get there, I'm going to dismiss your case.
I had to select a different route the following year to prevent her from further tormenting me.
Okay, good. That's not a lawsuit. What else?
I lost wages because of that, because I didn't take that route because she kept calling the school district.
That's the way things go.
Here's a letter from his bus driver.
I'm not interested in a letter from his bus driver. I don't see a lawsuit, Miss Neville.
If you don't let me enter my evidence, how am I supposed to prevent a case?
I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me.
You just read documents that were not notarized, that I don't...
They're from school officials and a therapist.
The school official got fired because of what she did. Wrote that letter. She was not allowed to write that letter.
Listen to me. I'm not interested in anything that happened in 2003. This is not a therapy session. It's a court.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're going to have to move. Otherwise, there's going to be constant
It's not all that easy just to pick up and move.
It's not all that easy. Have the last 4 years been easy?
No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Debbie Neville claims ex-daughter-in-law Sarah Hubel has slandered her at her job. Sarah is countersuing for harassment.
I'm going to hear your counterclaim. 30 seconds. Get there.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as of this year, a couple weeks ago, she just had taken me to court again, trying to get an anti-harassment order for me. It was denied. This was the second order that she had tried to get against me that was denied. I'm continually having to go into court because of her allegations.
Where do you live?
I live in Seattle.
But she moved right next door to me. Why she had the restraining order, she moved right up the street from me, right on top of my bus route, just so she could watch me come and go.
Where does your former husband live?
He also lives in Seattle.
How far away from you?
Well, actually, they just moved. Maybe about a mile from where I live.
Seattle's a big place. Why don't you move farther away from them?
I don't move farther away from them because my son goes to school there. He has gone to school there since kindergarten. I work right across the street from my son's school. I live right down the road.
Who else lives with you now, Ms. Hubel?
Christopher Crippen.
Who is he?
My boyfriend.
Does he work?
Yes.
How long was the custody battle that you had with your former husband?
2.5 years.
Did he want custody?
No.
So he wanted visitation?
Just visitation.
Does he have visitation now?
Not any longer.
When was that terminated?
In March of 2003, right after the assault, I went to the court to get a protection order for my son to ask for supervised visitation. And Josh denied in open court that he wanted to have any visitation with Jeffrey if it had to be...
Supervised?
Supervised.
So are you telling me that he hasn't seen his son since March of 2003?
Correct.
Is he living with you?
He is.
Very sad family case.
Yes, it is.
Well, one thing you seem to be both accomplishing is you're both accomplishing making this little boy crazy.
Excuse me?
You've got to get over it, both of you.
I've never
You don't have a lawsuit. This is not a lawsuit. This is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is.
You're causing each other aggravation. You have to stop.
Correct. But she won't stop.
I have the feeling, Miss Neville, and I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that if you had nothing to do with her, nothing to do with her,
You know
your
what?
problems would be over. I can understand why you're angry. I can understand.
Excuse me.
I can understand why you're angry. You have a son who's ill, who, according to you, has cancer, takes medication.
No, it's not according
who's
to me.
been
I
in
have
jail.
the doctor's reports
I'm
right
speaking.
here.
You're not
But
following.
you're making
Yeah,
statements.
you are over here.
But
You're not getting it.
It's not according to me. Here's some documents.
I agree with you. I accept the fact that he's ill.
And I don't call her job. I don't follow her around. I don't do that.
I have a
statements-
feeling, Miss Neville,
I have
that
statements
Miss
from-
Hubel would like.
My witness can testify to her following me into the store, staying outside, waiting for me to come out of the store, and chasing me out of the parking lot. I've had her push a grocery cart into my leg.
You shouldn't have anything to do with each other. You shouldn't be
I
near
try
each
not
other.
to.
Honor, I thought it was supposed to be my turn to be giving my statements.
What I'm trying to do is to tell you, neither one of you has a lawsuit. You have created aggravation for each other.
What have I done to her? Excuse me, tell me. Do you have documentations of what have I called your job? Have I gone to your place of work? I avoid your place of work. My friends avoid you. The whole community avoids you because they're scared of you. They're
Miss
scared
Neville?
if you get done tired being mad at me that they're going to stalk them. I have witnesses would not come because they're scared of her.
Well, it's
I
going
have
to-
lost
one-
business in my
one-
art because of her.
One way or another, if you want to live in peace, you're going to have to relocate.
Yes.
That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to move out of Seattle. And if you don't do it, then you're just prolonging this bad feeling because she has a grown son who has an illness. That makes her feel bad as a mother. She has a grown son who probably says to her that he's sad because he can't see his son. That makes her feel protective. Do you understand? There's a story which is the underpinning of this
Actually, my son
of
said
this lawsuit. You're going to have to move. And the faster you do it, the faster you're going to be able to enjoy your life. Do you get it?
Yes.
Otherwise, there's going to be constant
It's not all
aggravation.
that easy just to pick up and move.
It's not all that easy. Have the last 4 years been easy?
No.
Your son's 9 years old. It's not as if he's a junior in high school that he has to reacquaint with friends when he's a junior and he's going to graduate. He's 9 years old. He'll adjust to a new school. You want peace? Move. Lawsuit's dismissed. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out, ma'am. Wait.
Assistant Christopher Miller is suing his ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old cashier Jessica Welch, for having him falsely arrested for assault. Jessica claims Christopher bit her.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 15 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Welch. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Miller, it is your claim that the defendant, who was living in your home, along with her mother and her child, filed false charges against you for domestic violence. You want to be compensated with the return of your bail and some additional amount of money to compensate you for what you went through. The defendant says that she filed for a protective order because the ultimate reason was you called her 3-year-old some bad names, right? Yes. How did she come to be in your house?
Ma'am, Jessica Welch and I had a relationship. Our relationship started the ending of September, beginning of October. She moved in, ma'am.
Why did she move in?
We had a relationship. I was physically attracted to her. We talked a lot, had a lot of things in common, ma'am. My wife moved out
When did your wife move out?
about the end of September.
Okay, so your wife moved out in September. You began a relationship with the defendant, and when did she move in?
Beginning of October, ma'am.
Don't like to be alone?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Miller?
No, ma'am.
Are you living alone now?
No, ma'am. I'm back with my wife, and we're working things through.
Good. You still didn't tell me why she moved in.
She was living with her stepfather, ma'am, and I guess her stepfather was doing a lot of yelling. It was a bad environment for her son, CJ.
So that's why you allowed her to move in to your house, plus the fact that you liked her.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right so far, Miss Welch?
Yes.
You had been living previously with your mother?
My mother and stepfather, yes.
And they weren't getting along?
No.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Did you work then?
Yes.
What kind of work did you do?
I'm a clerk at a convenience store.
Full-time, part-time?
Full-time.
And your mother?
She works for a big satellite company.
Tell me about why you filed for a protective order against him.
There was an argument that Chris and I had.
When?
Right before Thanksgiving. It's the end of November.
Okay.
He had been drinking. He had argued with his wife on the telephone. He was promising to take her out for their anniversary. And being as they were separated, I didn't agree with that. We had gotten into an argument about it. As I turned to walk away, he came after me. He ran after me and grabbed me and knocked me down to the floor.
Shh. Mr. Miller, I know you want to respond. You're going to have an opportunity to do that. Came from behind you.
He grabbed me from behind and knocked me down to the floor. I ended up went into the bathroom to cry because...
Well, what happened after he knocked you down to the floor?
After he knocked me down to the floor, he went back into the kitchen because my mother got into the middle of it. My mother watched and she separated us.
Were you arguing with each other?
Yes, we were.
Were you physical with him?
No, I wasn't. I turned and walked away from him.
Did you say anything to him?
No, I was like, I'm done. I just turned and walked away.
Okay. That was in November?
Yes. And then later that evening, we went to bed. I was putting blankets and pillows in between us so that we didn't touch while we were sleeping. And he leaned over and bit me on the left breast.
And where did you sleep that night?
I ended up sleeping on the floor that night.
And the night after?
The night after was back in the bed with him.
Well, what happened the next day?
The next day, he said he didn't remember. He had been drinking a lot. I tried to tell him what happened. He just blew me off and ignored me. He just did not remember.
Well, that's November. Did you stay together in December?
No. Monday after the incident occurred, I got a restraining order. And
you got a restraining order when?
I got a restraining order the end of November.
I'd like to see it, please. Now, one of my questions to you is, you moved into his home.
Yes.
You, in effect, had him kicked out of his own house. Why didn't you and your mother and your kid leave?
At that time, we didn't have any money because we paid off the rest of his deposit when he invited us to move in, and he added our names to the lease.
Mr. Miller, you
Yes, ma'am.
added her name to the lease?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
That was very stupid.
Yes, it was, ma'am.
What was that Forrest Gump line, Bird? Stupid is as stupid does?
That's the one.
Right. Okay. Now, he wasn't arrested on this domestic violence charge. He was arrested for outstanding warrants that he had when you filed the complaint. What kind of warrants did you have, Mr. Miller?
Misdemeanor, ma'am. They were being intoxicated in public and in public.
You didn't learn not to drink, Mr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am. I go to classes now. Yes.
You should have gone to classes back in November.
I was doing that, actually.
Not successfully?
No, ma'am.
Okay. This case was ultimately dismissed.
The
Yes, ma'am.
assault case was, yes.
How come, Miss Welch?
But because pretty much he got my boss, my ex-boss, and old co-worker to lie for him.
You mean this case was tried?
Wasn't tried after the prosecuting attorney talked to the witnesses he had. She didn't feel that it was necessary to move forward because if we went to jury, we wouldn't have got anywhere because it was an attack on my character.
But this is the case on which you base your complaint. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Because she had you arrested not at the time of this incident before Thanksgiving, but she waited. Isn't that right, Miss Welch? Because when you called the police because he said bad things to your son. You had not gone to the police with regard to this incident where he pushed you and bit you, according to you. You did not go to the police until, according to you, he said some things to your son that you didn't like, and then you decided to go to the police and report the domestic violence. Isn't that what I read?
That's pretty much what you read, because if he's calling my son names...
Exactly. I just answered my question, my dear. It wasn't until after he called your son a name that you went to the police and complained about this incident that had happened days before. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me about the incident involving your son.
We were sitting there. He'd been drinking the whole day again. My son was playing, and he called him stupid, called him retarded. And I know if he's calling my son names, he's going to hit my son next. He hit me. It ain't going to happen. Nobody's going to touch my son.
Well, he didn't touch him, did he?
No, he didn't. But if he has the audacity to call my son stupid and retarded, this is also the same man that has the audacity to assault a woman. He has the audacity to assault a child, too.
Why didn't you move?
I had nowhere to go. I don't have family in Idaho.
Well, listen to me. You know this man for a couple of months. This man is in your life. You're there with your mother. Go to a shelter. I mean, why are you staying there? This isn't your husband. You don't have a child together. You don't have a life together. He had a house. You needed a place to stay. Mr. Miller says that you moved a friend into the house. Is that true?
No, I did not.
Did you have a friend come to stay with you for a period of time, Miss Welch?
I had...
Just look at me. Don't look at him. Look at me.
I had a friend stay for a couple of weeks.
And the friend's name?
His name is Tony.
Tony what? And how long do you know Tony?
I'd known him before Chris. I'd known him for about 5 months.
Where did you know him from?
From the same place I met Chris, work.
And why did you invite him to stay at a house?
He had just gotten out of jail. He came... he came and he needed a place to stay, so I let him stay.
Was Mr. Miller in agreement with that?
He said that first night that Tony stayed that, yes, he was in agreement with it.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Ma'am, she moved Tony in. I was not aware it was her ex-boyfriend.
Look at me. Don't look at her.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. Apologize. Ma'am, it was her ex-boyfriend. He came on the 12th, on Friday, when this assault supposedly was supposed to happen, ma'am. On the 14th, I came to her and asked, why is he still there? She told me he got a job, he will be moving out. On the 14th, it's when the cops came to arrest me, ma'am. When I was arrested, she got a restraining order as soon as I left the jail. I bailed out, ma'am. I was no longer welcome back in my home.
Where was Tony?
Living there, man, in my bedroom. And I do have a letter saying that...
Don't tell me a letter. I don't do letter.
Okay, ma'am. It's a letter from her to Tony. Sorry.
Oh, a letter from her?
To Tony.
That I'll see. Show this to the defendant, would you? What date did you write that?
It was February of this year.
Where were you living?
I was living in the house where I'm still currently residing, where Mr. Miller moved out of.
So you're still there?
Yes.
Can I have that note back, please? How come you're still there?
My mom and I are trying to save up enough money to find a new place to live. It's kind of hard. We're having a little trouble getting the money up.
So Tony's sort of helping you?
No, Tony's no longer around.
When did he leave?
Tony left, it had to be March this year. He wasn't living in the house. He had his own place, and I was going to move in with him, but I found out he's been hanging out with Mr. Miller, so I decided that was not the best.
You have a 3-year-old child?
Yes.
Why don't you grow up? Why don't you grow up?
I'm working on that.
You're not working hard enough. You keep picking losers, that's your business. If Mr. Miller is honest with himself, and right now he is probably clean and sober, he knows that he's not a winner. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Miller?
Yes, that is a very fair statement, ma'am.
And clearly Tony, who just got released from prison and needed a place to stay, is also not a winner. And you and your mother, who didn't have a place to stay, 2 adult women with jobs, who couldn't find a safe place to stay for their 3-year-old son and grandson, clearly are not winners. You better grow up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
After 72 hours, it's not toxic.
Well, did your bird die within 72 hours?
It died immediately of him standing with the process.
Well, then what I'm telling you, madam, is you should have taken your animals out of the house.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christopher Miller says ex-girlfriend Jessica Welch took out a false restraining order against him. Jessica claims Christopher physically abused her and verbally abused her young son.
Mr. Miller,
Yes, ma'am.
you probably don't remember what happened the night in November when things got a little tacky with Miss Welch. There isn't a question in my mind that she used you. There is also not a question in my mind that the reason you called the police, Miss Welch, is that you wanted him out of the house so that Tony could be there unencumbered. Not that he called your son stupid, but that he had already told you. Tony was going. And Tony didn't go. Tony stayed, according to you, for 2 weeks after he was out of the house. At least 2 weeks. So I think you had an ulterior motive for calling the police on him and having him arrested and having him removed from his house. Mr. Miller, I think that your conduct in getting sloshed and not acting appropriately didn't help things. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
But I don't think that Miss Welch filed for a protective order because she was legitimately afraid of you, which is the only reason that you filed for a protective order. Not for another reason, not because you want an apartment, you want a house, you want him out so that you could bring another boyfriend. And those aren't legitimate reasons for filing for a protective order because you've sworn in your application for a protective order that you are in fear. And you weren't in fear. You were only in fear if the two men stayed in the house with you at the same time. So, Mr. Miller, I think that you behaved probably a little bit badly, but certainly that was not the reason that she called the police. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of bail, $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her boss, her co-worker, and her ex-boyfriend was on my side, too.
He wins again.
Even the good guys win at times.
I have a good heart and I'm a good person.
Judge Judy's the bomb.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lubbock versus Nunez, step forward, please.
Real estate agent Donna Levick is suing business owner Jack Nunez for the cost to replace 3 parrots. Donna says the birds died after Jack sanded her floors.
Miss Lovick, how old are you?
35.
What do you do for a living?
I sell real estate.
How long have you been a real estate agent?
Almost 4 years.
Do you have any college degrees behind you?
No degrees, but I have 2 years of junior college.
And your husband?
He's a deputy sheriff.
You have ongoing training?
Yes, ma'am.
And you, sir, what do you do for a living?
I'm a tile contractor
How long have you been doing that?
since '73.
Okay, now let's get to the case. Miss Lovick, you had 3 parrots. How long had you had them?
My oldest African gray I had for approximately 15, 16 years.
And what's their life expectancy?
40 to 60 years.
And the other 2?
My severe macaw I had for about 3.5 years, and also for my Timna.
And this is what the lawsuit is about. You hired Mr. Nunez to come in and sand your floors in your house and seal them. And he did that.
Correct.
And your parrots died.
Correct.
So you want him to pay for your parrots, their vet bills, the casket, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct.
What did you do in preparation to your house to have your floors sanded?
We didn't do anything. We just took the birds outside.
When you sand floors, what comes up?
Generally dust, but he was using a wet sander, so you don't see dust particles flying all over.
So you're telling me there wasn't any dust in your house?
My birds, I had taken them outside.
I'm not asking you about your birds now. I'm
Sorry.
just asking you generally.
Oh.
When you sand floors, there's usually
Dust.
dust. You don't have to be a college graduate to figure that out. 35-year-old real estate agent with 2 years of college could figure that out, that you have dust. And when you seal the floors after the sanding, they seal it with,
Chemicals.
and the chemicals usually,
Toxic.
don't know toxic, but they usually smell.
Yes.
And they do have places where you can board animals while you're doing things in the house, just as if you were going away. Who are you?
I'm Donna's mother, and I was...
Do you
there.
live with them?
No, I don't.
You have your own house?
Yes, I do.
Could have taken your birds to your mother's house.
Yes.
You chose to keep your birds home. One, I understand from your complaint, died outside. 2 of them, however, died in the house. That's your fault. That's not his fault. If you had a baby, do you have children?
I do, and she was also in the house. Oh,
Well, then
we were
that is
outside.
something clearly wrong
We
with
were
you.
outside when this happened. We had gone outside, and they opened the windows. My birds were on the patio outside of what we thought was harm's way. He never told us that there'd be a toxic gas. You could not smell the dust. You couldn't see the dust in the air.
Why were you outside?
Because it was a nice day, and we were trying to stay out of their way.
Well, if that's the only reason that you were staying outside, I'm glad your child is well. You have to accept responsibility. This was your fault. Not his fault, because if you're having somebody come in and whip up dust, whether they use a wet process or a dry process, it whips up dust. When you seal it, it stinks.
It was already sealed, and we went to the manufacturers. After 72 hours, it's not toxic.
Well, did your bird die within 72 hours?
It died immediately of him standing the process.
Well, then what I'm telling you, madam, is you should have taken your animals out of the house. That's your responsibility. And if you didn't take them far enough away from the house, that's your responsibility. That's not
It's his responsibility to tell me the dangers.
Miss Lovick, it's harder to accept responsibility for the death of your birds than it is to blame it on somebody else. Life starts with accepting responsibility. It's your fault.
I tried to expect responsibility for the death of my birds. I only asked for him to pay the vet bill. There's
Just
no
a
way.
second. If you accept responsibility,
He agreed to pay my vet bill.
I'm speaking. If you accept responsibility for the death of your birds, he doesn't pay anything.
He never once mentioned that there was a toxic chemical or gas that could be released from standing on our floors. The birds were outside. They opened the windows, and that's what exposed the birds to the fumes and the silica.
Miss Lovick, accept responsibility. It's your fault. Goodbye.
Parties are excused.
Nicole Han Hamilton is suing her stepson, 22-year-old barback Jason Hamilton, for loans to retain an attorney and to pay restitution. Nicole says Jason was arrested for stalking his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, this is case number 28 on the calendar in the matter of Hamilton versus Hamilton. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mrs. Hamilton, this is your stepson. Is this your husband?
Yes.
Oh, a little background. I gather from your complaint and your answer that you were divorced.
Yes, ma'am.
From his mother. You can step up here, sir. And for most of his life, you'd had very little contact.
That's correct.
More recently, you contacted him, or you contacted your father. Which way?
I contacted him.
Son contacted you, and you began to build a relationship. Now, Jason has had a troubled adolescence. Is that a fair statement, Jason?
Yeah.
And it is your claim, Mrs. Hamilton, that your funds were used to help Jason out when he got us into some trouble with the law.
Yes.
For an attorney, for restitution payments, and at that time he was in fact living with you. He came to live with you. Jason says that the lawyer was your idea. He was perfectly happy with the public defender, and that the restitution he has paid for by working it off while he was living with you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with you, Jason. How old are you?
22.
What were you in trouble for, Jason?
Aggravated harassment and stalking in the fourth from my ex-girlfriend.
Okay, so let me hear about the first loan that you claim for his lawyer.
When we bailed Jason out on September 18th of last year, Jason was not happy with his public defender at all. He verbalized this to both my husband and myself.
What did he say?
He said he didn't feel that he was going to fight for him. He felt that the public defender just wanted him to plea out to anything and get the case over and done with as quickly as possible. And Jason did not want to do that. He wanted to fight it. He didn't want to be charged, and he didn't want to violate his parole from his previous court case and actions on that.
What were you on parole for, Jason?
Arson.
What burned down, Jason?
Garage.
Go ahead.
On his first court date after he was bailed out, we went and got him an attorney.
Who's we?
My husband and I.
Go ahead.
After that, as far as with the restitution, initially he had to live with us as part of us bailing him out. And when we decided we were moving out of the area, he was given the option to move with us or stay in the area, and we would figure something out and work it out. He decided that he did want to move with us. So my husband and I paid that restitution from his previous case in order to free it up.
Case?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other part of the restitution was for the current case. After everything was settled, there was $100 restitution
So you
from
pled
that.
guilty. You pled guilty in the current case involving your ex-girlfriend.
Right. I couldn't afford the lawyer anymore, so I had no choice. And I can't...
Were you at that time that the matter was scheduled for trial still living with your father and stepmother?
No.
Did you ever pay the lawyer any money?
No.
So it was just a $1,000 retainer that you paid the lawyer?
Correct.
yes.
That was after Jason moved out, after
Correct.
you had the altercation in your house with him.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton, so far I haven't heard anything about a loan.
Before Jason was bailed out on the phone conversations, he was informed that anything that was pertaining to this legal case was a loan and was to be paid back. That was one of the conditions of him being bailed out. Jason made comments about how he was not like his sister, who also we had a problem with before that. He was not like his sister, and he would pay us back that money. That was said numerous times, and at the end of Jason's stay in our house, because everything was a loan, I had him sign a promissory note.
Well, I know Jason says that note, you sort of forced him to sign the note because you said you were going to have his bail revoked if he didn't sign the note.
That
Okay,
was not
Jason,
how it was
well, I'm going to
worded.
turn over to you now, Jason.
When I was on the phone with them before I was bailed out, I was not told that it was a loan.
I'm sorry, that's wrong.
I moved in with them. I did not know I was going to move in with them. I thought they were going to bail me out, take me home, but instead they brought me to their place, worked for them. My work would be to pay off whatever I did.
Well, what kind of work did you do, Jason?
I helped him their construction business.
What did you do?
Labor. It was, unload the truck, load the truck, help my father, stuff like that. As far as me with my restitution, like I said, I never asked for the money. I never asked for any of it. I just simply said, when they went to pay it, I said, you don't have to do that. And they said, oh, no, don't worry about it. I said,
No,
okay.
that's not what parents say, Jason. They don't use the word, oh, don't worry about it. They might have said, when you get yourself together, we hope you'll pay us back. Does that sound right? Huh?
Yes, yes.
That sounds right. Life is so simple, Mrs. Hamilton. That's what parents say, even if they have an ongoing relationship with their children, if money is tight in a household. You don't say, well, this is a loan, and you will pay me back so much each month on this loan.
Your Honor, in the beginning, he did agree. Before I bailed him out, I told him, if I bail you out, you've got to pay this money back in a timely fashion, and you've got to get your act together, because the lifestyle he was living is totally, I'm afraid he's going to end up in jail for the rest of his life.
Where's your mother?
She's back in Buffalo.
Did you live with her all your life?
Yes.
Are you still in touch with her?
I live with her right now.
You have a sister?
Yes, I do.
How old's your sister?
19.
She in trouble?
No.
What kind of trouble?
Well, when we had her with us, she steals, she lies,
She's never been to jail, but she's a very emotionally troubled person, and she's been in and out of, she was in a group home at one point.
Jason, tell me about the conversation you had with your father about the lawyer, about the public defender.
I was going to get a new PD to begin with, because the guy that was representing me, he just didn't know what he was talking about. He had no clue.
What do you mean? Just a second. What do you mean you were going to get a new PD, public defender? You think that they give them out if you don't like one, you get a chance to get another one?
Well, that's what they were going to do. When I got
You
rid
live
of...
in a very good jurisdiction. If a criminal defendant came before me and said, I don't like that lawyer, I want to get another lawyer, you know what I would say to them? Go hire your own lawyer. You want to pick and choose? Go hire your own lawyer. This is the public defender for the day. You don't like this one? Get some money and go hire your own lawyer. You know, this is not one from column A and one from column B. You get one chance. Do you understand, Jason?
Yeah, I understand.
Good. Are you working now?
Yes, I am.
What kind of work are you doing?
I'm a barback at a banquet hall.
Hope this New York State Liquor Authority don't know about that. Is this arson conviction that you have a felony arson?
Yes.
Woo-hoo! Hope they don't value their liquor license. Listen to me, Jason. I want you to listen to me very carefully. I am not so concerned about the $1,000 that your stepmother and stepfather put up for the lawyer. I think they're going to have to tolerate that, because I think that that's what parents do if they're afraid that their child is going to be confined. And I'm not so sure that that was a loan. But I'm concerned about the restitution, Jason, because what possible value is it to your moral compass if somebody else pays your restitution? Restitution is what you're supposed to pay, right?
I understand that. I was paying it.
How? I don't understand how you
I
were
was
paying.
working
With money I
beforehand.
gave him.
Just a second.
Not just money you gave me. I was doing odd jobs here and there.
Well, you paid some of it, but they paid
Yeah,
the
I was
rest.
paying on
Just
it.
a second. But they paid the rest. Well, paying the rest, it doesn't teach you any kind of a lesson. That's your responsibility. That's not your father's responsibility. That's not your stepmother's responsibility. That's your responsibility. The criminal justice system doesn't want to see. What do you do for a living?
I'm a real estate investor.
Doesn't want to see this lady who works. What do you do for a living?
I'm an investor also.
I don't know what that means, but life is too short.
Buy real estate.
They don't want to see their money going to pay your restitution. They didn't set fire to the garage and they didn't stalk your girlfriend.
I didn't either.
Well, then you lied to the court, sir, when you pled guilty.
I didn't know, what am I going to do if I ain't got money?
You know what innocent people do? They go to trial.
You have
Just a second, Jason. You're 22 years old. Is that what
Yes.
you told me before? How many times have you been arrested? Think. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. How many times have you been arrested?
13 times.
13. Shh. Come on. 13 times. 22 years old. And how many convictions do you have, Jason?
I have 4 convictions.
I have 5 children. How many kids you got?
4.
9 children altogether. Not one arrest.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Miss Knapp, someone tried to kill me with a car. I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole Han Hamilton says her stepson, Jason Hamilton, owes for loans to retain an attorney and to pay restitution. Nicole says Jason has been arrested for arson and stalking.
You've been arrested 13 times. That cannot all be a mistake. The 4 times that you were convicted is not a mistake. The last 2 times that you pled guilty, I mean, you know the system, evidently. You're smart enough to know the system, that if you want a new PD, all you got to do is stamp your feet around, say, I'm not getting good representation. What you're supposed to do is not do things that get you into any trouble. Do you understand?
I know that.
Okay? And if you didn't learn the first time, and if you didn't learn the second time, the 10th time, you should have learned. By the time you got to the 12th time, it should have been bells go off in your head. Now you're at unlucky 13. Jason, you're 22 years old. You want to die?
No.
You don't care.
No, I care. I'm working now. I'm going for my GED. I have my life on track.
Good.
That's
Then
what I
pay
was...
your restitution. The lawyer, it's
That's
yours.
fine. I
He's
just
gonna,
wanted him to learn a lesson.
he's
about
going to pay his
responsibility.
restitution. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $695. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I look at them as just white trash. What are they going to do? Sue their own son when he hits 18 for all the stuff that they paid for him?
As people can see, he's a punk. He'll always be a punk. I wash my hands with him. I got a beautiful 14-month-old son. I'm doing it right this time.
Smoking pot. I'm in probation. I don't want to get involved in no pot.
He's the one that smokes the pot, and I told him I didn't want it in my house.
I don't have a father. That's the way I look at it.
I'm here to guide you and show you the proper way. If you don't want to do that, I'm done.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Knapp versus Wheeler. Step forward.
Delivery truck driver Barbara Knapp is suing her ex-boyfriend, steelworker Claude Wheeler, for purposely driving her van into a ditch. Claude claims he swerved to miss a deer.
Miss Knapp, it is your claim that Mr. Wheeler, who used to be your boyfriend, wrecked your car.
Correct.
And in addition to the damages to the car, you want some money for pain and suffering. I don't know what pain and suffering you want. You'll, I'm sure, explain it to me. Tell me about the day of the incident.
Okay, on December 28th, I do believe, we went grocery shopping, stopped at a bar and had a few drinks and was coming home and...
Okay, what time did you get to the bar?
8 o'clock.
8 p.m.?
8 p.m.
And how long did you stay at the bar?
Oh, possibly an hour maybe. No, not that long because we had groceries in the car, so about an hour then, say.
Is that right, sir?
Correct.
Okay, you stopped at a bar, groceries in the car, went home, on your way back to
On
the
our way
grocery.
back on the way back home, and we were discussing just things, and an old boyfriend was brought up because he was apparently came into the bar, and I had made his comment that he's still love of my life, and he didn't like it, so I don't know what was said, but then he swatted me upside the head, in the back of the head, and then I had told him that that was it and it was over, and he proceeded to say, oh, I'll show you that, and he drove my car down into the ditch. The next thing you know, a pole's coming, and we headed straight for the pole, and he turned it just enough to go past the pole, but in the meantime, we kind of got wedged into the ditch and had to go out the windows to get out, and then I was just kind of in shock, I do believe, and
Okay.
that was that.
Well, we were driving home that night. I had a few drinks, and we were arguing, and I was looking at her.
Try looking at me.
I don't recall slapping her upside the head or striking her. We were arguing, and I was looking at her, and when I turned my eyes back to the road, there were deer in the road, and I swerved to the right to miss the deer, and as soon as we got to the edge of the road, the snow sucked us into the ditch. I didn't do it intentionally.
Don't remember the deer?
There was no deer. He did it on
Okay.
purpose.
And you issued a report?
Mm-hmm.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That is the traffic report. Okay.
Shh. You have any other police reports?
No, I went to the trooper's barracks to try to get the actual report from my statement and his statement, but apparently they do not let that out. They don't.
Your Honor, I have a signed statement of her from the night of the accident.
Can I see it, please? That's what I'm looking for. Well, you did sign a statement on the 28th of December, Ms. Knapp.
Okay.
You didn't say anything about him purposely damaging your car. You say at about 2 or 3 o'clock, my boyfriend was at my house. He had a margarita, which was left over from last night. At about 7 o'clock, we went grocery shopping at Wegmans and then went to Jit's Bar for a couple of beers and pool. He had 2 or 3 beers there. Then we started home. Claude was driving. I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden, we were going towards the ditch. I didn't see if there was a deer, just that he was going towards the ditch. You didn't tell the police that he tried to kill both of you?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I just was still in shock from all of it, and I just didn't. I just was going to go with the story with the deer because I just was in shock because that's what he wanted me to say, and I just didn't.
What happened?
Notice, Penal Law Section 210.45, in a written instrument, any person who knowingly makes a false statement which such person does not believe to be true has committed a crime under the laws of the state of New York and is punishable by a Class A misdemeanor. And that's what you signed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason why you think, Ms. Knapp, that I should believe you now? Ms. Knapp, I have a couple more questions for you. When did you and the defendant separate?
It was,
Around the 1st of February.
So between December
The 5th.
28th and the 1st of February, you still lived together?
No, we did not live
We
together.
just dated,
And you dated the same way that you were dated before?
pretty much.
It wasn't this, not in my eyes, because it was over in my eyes, and I just wanted to get a deductible from him, so I kind of.
Which I did pay. I paid the
He did pay
$500
the- yes.
deductible.
But I figured if I broke up with him, I wouldn't seen any money or nothing, so I kind of just had to hang in there to get my deductible. And
You
And
know,
then a month and a half later, 2 months down the road, she's after for this $5,000.
that's not going to happen.
Thank you.
Ms. Knapp, if someone tried to kill me with a car, I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else. And if you did, that's your problem. Bye. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused.
And her mother, Carletta, are suing Tatum Hood for damage to their vehicle. Brycey says she was picking up her sister from school when Tatum hit her car.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Now, this is case number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Bassey versus Hood. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Who was driving? You weren't there?
No.
You're her mom?
Yes, I'm her mother.
She looks like she can take care of herself. If she can't, you can't help her because you weren't there.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Bassey, according to your complaint, you and the defendant got into sort of an altercation You were going to pick up
my little sister.
your sister in school, and you were going to pick up
My son.
your son. And as a result of that, it is your claim that the defendant damaged your car. The defendant says that your poor driving was the result of the damage to your car, and you actually ran into her car. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pull that a little bit closer to me so that I can see it a little bit better up here, Bird. Miss Bassey, you're the red car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go over and put your finger over there, please. That's where you were coming from, and you were making a left turn into the parking lot?
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant was coming straight.
She was coming straight, and she didn't have a signal on. She was like right here where the curb is, where the driveway ends, and then she decides all of a sudden to, oh, I need to turn. And so when she turns, she comes.
Shh, don't speak.
She comes and she turns so close to the curb, and I'm about to turn thinking she's about to pass by, so I stop to prevent from hitting her because it's a very congested area. And she turns in, and then I turn in after her.
Well, so far, you understand she had the right of way.
Yes, ma'am.
You did not. So, okay, and what happened next?
I honked at her.
Why?
Well, because she didn't. I honked at her because she didn't use her signal.
Well, that's not a nice thing to do, Miss Bassey. That's not an appropriate thing to do. She had the right of way. So right there, you were wrong. You had no right to honk at her because she had the right of way. Whether you think she had a signal on or not, she says she did. It doesn't make any difference. In a congested road, and you're going across 2 lanes of traffic coming from the opposite direction, and she is on the side of the road where she could make a right turn into that spot, she's got the right of way. So, Abe, that's one for her team. You had no right to honk the horn. So what happened after you honked the horn?
We pull up into the driveway area. We're right here where you pick up all the kids. And I honked twice to get my little sister's attention. When I honked twice, she thought I was honking at her.
Again?
Yes, she thought I was honking at her again.
Well, now let me ask you this question. How many kids are outside?
A lot.
What do you think it would be like, Miss Bassey, if everybody honked their horn a couple of times to get their little sister's attention?
Well, yeah, I mean,
is there something wrong with your legs?
Well, no, she wasn't that.
Just listen. Was there something wrong with your legs?
There was nothing wrong with my legs.
Then if there's nothing wrong with your legs, you stop the car, and you get out of the car, and you say to your little sister, here I am. You don't sit in your car and honk the horn. We're going to go step by step. I haven't gotten to her yet, because I have a feeling you didn't behave reasonably either, because I read your answer.
No, ma'am.
And it's amazing to me that 2 women, you know, usually it's the guys that get into these jock wars, but 2 women behaving badly? How old are you?
17.
Well, you better go back to driving school and etiquette school, because so far you're not #1 on my hit parade today. So you honked your horn for your sister, and the defendant thought you were again honking at her. That's what you assumed. So what did she do?
She flips me off and starts waving her fist behind me. She turns around and she just starts doing the little hand things and yelling.
Not a nice thing. Just a second. Not a nice thing to do.
You're right.
Okay. So she gestures to you in an obscene gesture. What happens next?
I looked at her and I threw my hands up like trying to say, no, I was not honking at you. And, you know, she's still yelling, 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 and I was yelling back at her. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to honk.
So now you're yelling at each other?
Yes.
Good. Go ahead.
And then after that, my little sister does see me, and she comes to the side of the car. And the defendant is still very angry that I had honked at her. And, you know, we were still arguing with each other. And so at this time, I was trying to move. I had my little sister in the car. I wanted to get out of there. It's very busy. She doesn't move.
Well, where's your car?
Right here.
So you're behind her?
Mm-hmm. So she pulls up a little bit, we pull up, and then, you know, she's still mad. And I honked at her again. I'm like, can you please move?
All right, so why are you honking?
She wouldn't move.
Why does she have to move?
She could have moved, but
why,
she was...
Now, why does she have to move?
Well, her son had already gotten to the car.
Look, I'm looking at your car, and I'm seeing what you did. So you pulled out, according to you, you pulled out because she's not moving, and you pulled around her.
Yes, after she did it, but no, I got out the car. I even got out the car and said, will you please move? Is she still cussing me out?
Can I ask you a question? Why? Miss Bassey, what? Stop it!
Yes, ma'am.
Why are you still arguing with her and imploring her to move when all you had to do was drive around her?
At the time, there were still cars going. There's a lot of cars still going through. And then when she was free, she wouldn't move. I was behind her to a place where I couldn't really squeeze around her this way or squeeze around her this way, but I managed.
Because everybody's picking up their children.
Yes.
Keep going.
Then I did manage to, because my car is small enough, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can squeeze around her. I was able to squeeze around her, and I drove all the way to over here to the drive area. Then she comes all the way, she drives over here, rolls down her window, and said, "Is this the way black people act?" And I'm like, what was that supposed? I looked at her kids in the car, and they appeared to be biracial to me. And then I looked at her again, I'm like, what was that supposed to mean?
Okay.
And at this time, yes, I mean, we were cussing each other out. She then says, "Do you want to fight?" And I'm like, "Do I want to what?" And my little sister gets out of the car.
What'd she get out of the car for?
She got out she's like, "Do you want to fight?" And my little sister's like, "What do you want to?" She got out. She's like, "What do you want to fight for?"
Where's the little sister? Step up here. Move over there. What did you get out of the car for?
Because at that time, Mrs. Hood had opened her door like she was going to get out, so I'm like...
Sounds like a perfect reason for you to stay in your car. If somebody, according to you and according to your sister, is acting like a lunatic and says, "Do you want to fight?" doesn't sound like the kind of situation you want to say, "Sure." Now, what's your first name?
Laquise.
Laquise, genius. What did you do when you got out of the car?
Well, I got out of the car because, you know, by that time I was really mad. And so I guess I wasn't thinking. I got out the car and then, you know, I kind of went over to her car and then...
So you kind of went over to her car?
Yeah,
what
by
does that mean? That means you went over to her car?
I walked over to her car.
What?
I walked over to her car.
And what did you say when you walked over to her car?
I really didn't say anything. I was waiting on her. She said she was going to get out and fight. And I'm like, is
and that's what you were waiting to do. You got out of the car to fight her.
I mean, I was going to see if she was
Miss Fassy back there, you should be very proud of them so far. Are you following me?
I am.
Right? So far, I'm looking at your mother and I'm looking at you two, and I got news for you. I don't think that your mother would have reacted the same way that day that you did. Right, Miss Fassy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When people behave badly and they have no defense for their bad behavior, they infuse racism to try to inflame the fact finder. Listen to me. It doesn't work.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Brycey Bassey says, during an argument at a junior high school, fellow motorist Tatum Hood rammed her car. Tatum claims Brycey and her sister threatened her life.
Okay, so after you got out of the car and walked over to Miss Hood's car because she said she wanted to fight, I assume at some point you got back into the car.
I walked over back to my sister's car, because, you know, she was about to turn right by then. But then Mrs. Hood hits my sister's car, and I was shocked. I had no time to get back in the car, because that's when she turned out.
Well, just a minute. Your sister is making a turn from the wrong lane.
No. This is to go right. I went left after she had to hit my car. I was not even moving when she hit my car. She hit my car on purpose.
You mean she plowed into your car, you were standing still?
Yes, my car was not in motion.
Okay. And you have photographs of this car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Oh, that's a lot of damage. All right, Miss Hood, ball's in your court.
It was January 19th, 2005. May I go over here? I went to the school to pick up my son that's here. I'm the blue car here. I'm coming down Tyler Road. I believe it would be south. She's coming north. She is right here. As she said, it's very congested. There's lots of cars. If she would have been, like on her chart, over here already turning, there was tons of cars coming. I did have my blinker on.
Listen to me. She was wrong. I already said she was wrong.
Okay. So we turn in. When we turn in at Wilbur, there's also, there's like 2 lanes like this. I stay in this lane. We never got over here because to get over here, you have to stop up against the school, and there's buses and handicap parking. I stayed in this lane. As I was turning, she started calling me all out of my name. She called me a white bee. Go back to driver's ed, learn how to drive. I'm going to kick your butt. As we stopped, I stopped here. She was behind me. She honked. I thought she was honking at me. Stupidly, I flipped her off. I never shook my fist at her, nothing else. She got out of her car at that point in time, come up, beating on my window, was screaming, "I'm going to kick your butt," but she was not saying butt, get out of your truck, you white bee this, white bee that. I rolled down my window. I said, you need to go get back in your car before you embarrass yourself. She went back into her car. We both proceeded to go. She spun around me. She's still screaming. I'm saying some stuff. We get like we're right here, and she is calling me all out of my name still, profanity, racial slurs. I am married to a black man. I am not racist. I rolled down my window. I said, you are giving young black women a bad name. You should not act like that. I would never allow my daughter to act like that, or my son. She's like still using profanity, still cussing, and she's like, pull over her. By this time, the other sister was screaming at me too. Pull over, we're going to whip your butt, blah, blah, blah. She starts to go. I take off. Bam, I hit her. She's barely like this. They're going to pull over. They're trying to cut me off to fight. She never got out of the car. I hit her. When I hit her, we stopped. I probably stopped for 30 seconds. I'm not going to lie. Both of them at that time got out of the car. She was never out of the car until after I hit her. And then they were screaming, we're going to kill you, you stupid white bee, blah, 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 calling me racial. I can't believe it has turned into a racial thing. It's so sickening. And then...
No, it's not. It's not.
pitiful.
Listen to me, Miss Hood. It's not racial here. It's not racial in this courtroom.
You're right.
Sometimes when people behave badly and they have no defense for their bad behavior, they infuse racism to try to inflame the fact finder. Listen to me. It doesn't work. Go ahead.
Afterwards, I leave because I don't know what they're going to do. Brycey then jumps back in the car with the younger sister that she picked up who's in the back seat, chasing us. I'm stopping at stop signs, stopping at stoplights. Each time we stop, she's getting out of the car, trying to come up to the window, still screaming. When we see two cop cars coming, I pull into a parking lot. She pulls in. When she pulls in, she stops. She gets out of her car. I'm going to mollywop you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to beat you up.
May I please see the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
And then
I want to see the police report.
The cops that pull up are telling her to get back in her car. They restrain her. I'm sorry.
I want to read the police report. You told the police you got out of the car.
My sister got out of the car.
Brycey, you signed the statement. You said, before that, I got out of the car and asked what the problem. And one continued to yell at me.
When I got out the car, that's way before whenever we were still in the school area.
You didn't tell me that you got out of the car.
I did. I said I got out of the car and asked her to move.
No, you told the police you got out of the car and asked her what her problem was.
Yeah, I asked her what the problem is. Can you please move? I was not honking at you.
Did you do the wrong thing that day?
Yes, I did.
How much of this accident was your fault?
I would probably say, I don't know. I'm not going to say that it was the least of my fault. No, it was not. I shouldn't have honked at her. You know, that's the one thing. I shouldn't have honked at her. And then when I honked twice, I probably should have yelled for my sister. Or, you know, then after I got out the car, you know, instead I should have probably just sat there and waited for her to move.
Yes, you want to say something?
For what it's worth, I just want to say that I did speak with Mrs. Hood regarding this accident 2 days later. I went over to Mrs. Hood's home because I got the police report. I didn't have insurance. I was going to file the insurance, and I needed to know where she lived. The police did give us her address. And I went. She was very polite. I didn't have a problem with her. Mrs. Hood told me she was having a bad day that day. She said she was in an argument with her husband's nieces, and, you know, she was upset, and she was already tensed up and upset. And she did tell me she intentionally hit my daughter's car. She never denied hitting her car, but she also proceeded...
Just a second. Are you telling me, Miss Bassey, that Miss Hood said I intentionally hit her car?
Yes, she did. Those were her exact words to me. Yes.
Interesting. Is that what you said to her?
I said I hit her daughter's car. I never intentionally hit it. She was coming this way to cut me off. I did hit Brycey's car. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't hit it.
No, I know you did. I have the pictures to prove that you did. I'm just surprised that Miss Bassey is telling me that you used the word intentionally. I mean, I can't imagine anybody intentionally hitting somebody else's car.
Oh, that's what she told my daughter and myself. And she also told me she left the scene of the accident. I don't agree with Brycey chasing her. She said she left the scene of the accident not because she was afraid of my daughter.
Not just chasing her, Miss Bassey.
She left because she said she was unlawfully driving her truck.
Listen to me. I got it. I don't believe this story. I believe that what your daughter did was pull out, speed around her, and I believe that when she pulled out and sped around her, Miss Hood caught up with her.
No, I don't believe that, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Because Brycey wasn't moving when she hit her.
No. Listen to me. I said Miss Hood caught up with her. She pulled around her fast in a school pickup zone. That's what your daughter did. She had an attention span and a fuse that was about this short. And she created a situation in there because she's got a hot temper, and she wasn't behaving like a mature driver. Neither was this one. But she's not the plaintiff. She is. So you had, according to your complaint, $4,000 worth of damage to your car with no insurance.
No.
And all I'm asking...
She had insurance.
Insurance.
Yes, we had insurance.
Oh, good. So how much did the insurance pay?
We didn't want to file the
No.
insurance.
Well, you
insurance-
better.
Insurance does not take care of damages that have intentionally been done to the car.
Well, listen to me very carefully. I would file with my insurance carrier if I were you. Ordinarily, if this was solely her fault, I would say, well, why should you file with your insurance? Because that means your premiums are going to go up.
Yes, which they would have.
You're absolutely right. They would have, because she's a 17-year-old driver who was involved in an accident. But this accident was partially her fault. So I think you ought to file with your insurance company. Now, what kind of deductible do you have?
$500.
Good. Ms. Hood's going to pay that. But you file with your insurance company. This accident was partially your fault, and that's what you have insurance for.
Even though Mrs. Hood agreed to fix her car? She agreed to fix it.
Listen to me. Then you don't come to court, Miss Bassey. Then you don't come to court. But if you come here and you're asking a fact finder to make a determination of what the right thing to do is, in this case, the right thing to do is because your daughter was at least 50% responsible for what went on that day because she did the wrong thing. She may have caught her on a bad day. That's the way sometimes you catch people. What? She was not in a hurry to go to a summit meeting. So she waits her turn, and she takes an extra couple of minutes, and her sister doesn't get out of the car in an aggressive stance. She's not picking up her baby sister, who's 3 years old. Your other daughter looks like she can well take care of herself, and she's got an attitude. So that's what you have insurance for. Miss Hood has to accept some responsibility for what she did, and she's going to cover your deductible. Put it into your insurance. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
With acid, Linda is countersuing for being falsely arrested.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 351 on the calendar in the matter of Kimball versus Berger. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Kimball? Yes. You and the defendant are neighbors. According to your complaint, as a result of her causing a disturbance, you called the police, and in retaliation for that, she threw some chemical on your car causing damage.
Yes.
You want her to pay for that damage. Ms. Berger is countersuing for thousands of dollars because she says you had her falsely arrested. She's suing for malicious prosecution. So let's start. How long have you been living at your present location?
2 months.
And you moved in after Ms. Berger was already there?
No, ma'am. We was there quite a bit of
We've
time.
relocated.
We was there way before she was.
So you moved?
Right.
After this incident?
When she got out of jail, we moved.
How long had you been living in the location where this incident took place?
Almost 2 years.
And how long had Miss Berger been living there?
About 5 months.
When did this incident occur?
October.
October what?
8th, year 2000.
That was in the evening?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
Previous to this incident, we had called the police several times on Miss Berger because of loud music. We called the manager first, and he was afraid to go down there. Then we would call the owner, and he said, oh, just call the police.
What kind of premises is it, an apartment?
It's trailer park. She was right next to us.
Playing the stereo at 8 o'clock in the afternoon.
You'll have a chance.
In the evening.
Pay attention, you'll have a chance.
Okay.
Prior to Miss Berger moving in, did you have a neighbor in that trailer?
Yes.
Had you ever called the police on that neighbor?
Yes.
Why?
Because he was apparently doing drugs. They had a small child. We were concerned about the safety of the child because we could hear him yelling at his wife, and the child was crying.
Now, on the evening of October 8th, what happened?
The loud music, if you can call it that, it was kind of a booming noise, started. And
what time?
It was about 8:30. It was a Sunday night.
It was 7 o'clock in the evening.
Miss
The
Berger,
sun wasn't even down
Miss
yet.
Berger, I'm telling you, you will have a turn.
Okay.
Now, I'm telling you nicely for the second time. The third time, it isn't nice. I want you to trust me on that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We listened to it for a while until we couldn't stand it, and so I called the manager. He wasn't home. I called the owner, and he said he couldn't do anything about it to call the police. So I called the police. They came out in about 10 minutes. The music stopped, and when the police left, she turned the music up twice as loud, so I called the police again. They came right back, and you could hear them arguing with her, and then they left, and she turned the music down. I was getting ready for bed right after that. My husband was in the kitchen, and he heard a man, and saw it, but he has to explain that.
Yeah, there was her boyfriend or some gentleman there was with her. He hollered, "Don't throw that," and I looked out the window, and at the front of her trailer and where my truck was, she threw a liquid. So I put my shirt on, and
you actually saw her?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did. And then I presumed to go on out there after I got my shirt on. He was dragging her back in the trailer. She was screaming, cussing, "We're going to kill them people," and all kind of noise. So I looked around, and it was kind of a wet after, the dew was already out. So I had a flashlight. I looked. I didn't see no dent places. I did see a little extra liquid, and I was scared she was going to come back out with a gun or a knife. So I returned into the trailer and locked the doors. And the next morning, we discovered the damage. It was done, ate up the paint and everything. So we called the sheriff department, and he returned and made an investigation, and he tried to arrest her then, but she was hid in the trailer and wouldn't open it. So it was a misdemeanor. They couldn't break in. So they turned her over to the detectives, and the detectives later on, they charged her, the DA's office charged her, and then she had prior warrants. So when they picked her up, they put her in jail, and she had prior warrants, and she stayed there for quite some time due to the prior warrants. And that we have the police reports and all to verify it. And the pictures of the damage. And
I'd like to see pictures of the damage, and I'd like to see the estimates to have them repaired.
Yes, ma'am. Also, our car, my wife's new car was sitting there, and this happened on the 8th. And between the 9th, that's when the police come out and did the estimate on the damage and looked at everything and tried to arrest her. Between the 9th and the 10th, somebody hit my car on the turtle shell with a broomstick, and that's what those other pictures are about. And we presumed it was her. We didn't have the enemy in the place, so. When she got out of jail, we left immediately that day. We had our stuff moved that day as fast as we could. We just couldn't take
How'd you know
another
it was getting
chance.
out of jail?
Shh. What year is this truck?
The truck is a 1988, but it's a showpiece. I probably got over $20,000 in just putting it back into original condition. It's a dually, black dually. It's a showpiece, honestly.
Was a showpiece?
Was. It's got 16 coats of black lacquer paint on it. And believe it or not, it was over $3,000 when I had the truck painted, from original paint to the show class finish on the truck.
Yeah, well, they have an estimate to refinish, not any body work, but just to refinish it, $2,006.
There's nothing dented. It's just everything there. All the plastic and chrome's got to be replaced, and then the paint.
Okay. All right, Miss Berger, you recall the evening of the 8th of October?
Yes, I do.
All right. Is this the person with whom
He's
you were
my
living?
witness. He's to attest to a couple of statements made by the plaintiff.
Is he the person who was living with you at the time?
No, he's not.
Is he the person there at the time?
He lives across the street, yes. Okay. He's a mutual friend of theirs.
Okay.
and of mine.
Okay, go ahead. Let me hear.
I was not anywhere near his truck.
Let's start out with the music. How
With the
many times
music.
did the police come out that evening?
Once.
Once or twice?
Twice.
That's
okay, it was like 7:30 in the...
Just a second. So the police came twice.
Yes.
They came the first time and told you to turn the music down.
Yes.
How much later did they come a second time?
Maybe a half hour, 45 minutes later.
Do you have a police report from Deputy
Yes, I
Conte?
do.
May I
Yes,
have
I
it,
do.
please?
And I have the detective's...
Just give me the report. I'm a good reader. When the police came out for the second time, were you, in fact, told to turn the music down again?
Yes, and it was turned off.
The second time the police officer arrived at your home, Ms. Berger, was it the same police officer who had arrived there the first time?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation with the officer the second time?
I believe so. I believe that he just asked me to turn off the stereo, and I turned it off.
No, he didn't. He came out the first time and told you to turn down the music.
Right.
When he had to come back the second time, he didn't tell you, would you please turn down the music again? You had a different kind of conversation with him.
This I do not recall.
Why would you not recall such a thing?
Because I've been through a lot of emotional stress due to this whole situation. I do not remember that night. I went to jail for something I didn't, falsely was accused.
Just a second. Anybody who is arrested for something remembers, unless there is a long history of arrest, which we'll get to in a minute, as to why you were incarcerated for such a long time on this kind of a complaint. So you do not recall what the officer said to you the second time he was forced to come back to your location.
Basically, he told me to turn it down, or he was going to turn it off for me, basically, what it boiled down
so
to.
he was a little more annoyed this time.
Right.
That's better. So you turned it off, and according to your complaint, you did nothing.
No, I did not do anything. I went to sleep. I went right to bed.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Drina and Jerome Kimball say neighbor Linda Berger dumped acid on their truck. Linda denies the charge and is countersuing the Kimballs for filing false charges.
Okay. Now, there did come a time you were taken into custody. How much after this incident were you taken into custody?
A week or two, perhaps.
And when you were taken into custody, did you have a series of outstanding warrants?
I had one warrant for driving on a suspended license. That had been dismissed. I tried to get an OR on this vandalism charge. The OR was not granted. I had to stay in jail. I had to file for bail in order for me to be released.
Right.
The driving on suspended, I had time served, but they were not going to release me because I still had this vandalism charge outstanding. I had to bail out.
My question to you is, the initial reason why you were detained was because you had an outstanding warrant.
There was two warrants. One was issued for vandalism, for the one that he had issued against me, and then there was the one for driving on a suspended license.
When was the warrant issued for driving on a suspended license?
A week before.
When were you supposed to appear in court?
For the driving on suspended?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the court date.
Was it 6 months before, 3 months before?
A week before. It was probably about a week or two before I was arrested for the vandalism.
Why didn't you appear in court?
I do not remember the reason now. And it's been months.
Well, Ms. Berger, how many times have you been arrested?
2 or 3 different times. Traffic violations.
Have you ever been arrested for driving while under the influence of alcohol?
Yes.
When was the last time you were arrested for DWI?
3 years ago.
Is that when your license was suspended?
Yes.
How long have you been driving with a suspended license?
I no longer drive.
How long had you been driving with a suspended license?
Maybe 5 months.
Why had you not gone to get a driver's license?
Because it was suspended. It was revoked by the judge. There's no way I could have gotten one.
Well, suspended 3 years ago. This is not a life sentence. If it's suspended for 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, unless your license was permanently revoked.
Well, I had to complete an AB 541 program.
Did you do that?
Yes. I just now completed it.
But you had not completed it prior.
Right.
Okay, so you were told 2 or 3 years ago that you could, in fact, get your license reinstated if you completed a program for alcohol abuse and driving. You chose not to do that, but just to go back and drive without it. Am I correct?
Right.
All right, so the judge got irritated and issued a warrant for your arrest. That warrant was the warrant that fell on you at the time you were taken into custody on their complaint. We have that in order?
No. Because I was still going to stay in custody no matter what. But the vandalism charge was going to stick. I was trying to get an OR. They would not release me. I had to bail out on it.
I want you to listen carefully to what I said.
Okay.
You were taken into custody on their complaint.
Correct.
And at the time you were taken into custody on their complaint, the outstanding warrant fell.
Correct. Okay.
Right. We understand that?
I understand.
Did there ever come a time, Miss Berger, prior to the time that you were taken into custody on the warrant, that the police came to your residence and you heard and saw him knock at the door and refused to open the door?
No.
That never happened?
No.
Mm-hmm. So the officer who made this report and said, we went to Subject Berger's trailer home at the address. We knocked several times, however, she did not answer.
I wasn't home.
That was on the same evening as the incident. You said you just went to sleep.
And I was asleep. I don't remember. You asked the question if I ever not opened up the door for the police.
Yes.
Not knowingly.
Okay. Now, what happened when you were finally brought before the judge in regard to the outstanding warrant that you had for a suspended license?
Time served.
And you had been in jail for 10 days?
Yes.
What happened on this case?
Vandalism charge. I went before the judge and asked for an OR. I was denied. I had to have one of my friends bail me out.
And what happened with that case ultimately?
The case got dismissed.
When?
Monday, this past Tuesday. Sorry, this Monday was a holiday. This Tuesday.
When did you move out?
November 1st, 2000.
Is that why you didn't appear in court?
We didn't receive it until the day after the hearing.
It came through the old address, and we didn't receive it, so there was nowhere to go.
Stand up.
They just fell.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is Walter Kirby.
All right, Mr. Kirby. Do you know anything about the evening of October 8th?
I only have two things about this case I can relate, Your Honor.
Look at me when you're relating both things, sir.
Okay, one is the morning after this happened, I was having a discussion with Jerry here. He was explaining to me what had happened to his truck, and I asked him if he saw her throw that, and he told me no, he hadn't seen her throw it.
That's not right.
And the only other thing I can attest to, Your Honor, is the condition of his truck. When he moved out on November 1st, I helped him load his stuff and get ready to leave, and she has pictures here of the truck at that time, and there was nothing wrong with the truck.
Can I see your photographs, please, Ms. Berger?
Your Honor, they put a solution on it to stop the acids, and which made it not near as visible.
Those pictures were taken the day of my release.
Oh, it certainly looks a lot better.
They had a solution on it, an oil solution to stop the acid.
I understand that, but it certainly looks a lot better. I want you to take a look at these photographs.
Yeah.
How did we know when she took those pictures?
I have no idea when this picture
We
was
moved out before she got out of jail because we were afraid to stay there. We moved November 1st.
Well, that's a very, very good question.
When the detective told us she was going to be released.
Just a second. Well, I don't know why otherwise she would take pictures of your truck. I mean, why would she take pictures of your truck? You did take these pictures?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay. I want you to take a look at these pictures.
I have a whole roll.
The damage was on the other side, and this here it had the solution on it, and they had cleaned the truck, but they had put the solution on it, the oil solution, and it comes right back. It's right now. If you took pictures of it, it would still be right on there.
Still there.
So that's when we was moving out. We hooked up, and it did have the chemical solution on it. Of course, and like overnight or something, it comes back to a powder. It looked just like that again.
Okay.
Those pictures were taken the day that they were leaving.
Yeah, and I never discussed the case with this gentleman here at all the next morning or any other morning.
There's pictures with this trailer being hooked up to the truck and them driving away.
No, I understand when they were taken. Okay. I don't think that you would take a picture.
He served a warrant for her from the small claims court originally.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
I would assume that this gentleman has his own agenda. You still living in the same location, sir?
Yes.
Have you ever visited Miss Berger in her trailer?
I've never been inside her trailer. I've talked to her.
Has she ever been inside your home?
No, that's not right. But
have a seat. Okay, let's get to the counterclaim first. There is no question in my mind that based upon the defendant's testimony, she was in fact held and, as a matter of fact, incarcerated on an old warrant and agreed to a sentence on that case of time served So the time that she served may have been precipitated by the arrest on this case, which means that they found you as a result of this case. But when you agreed to plead guilty to time served and your penalty was 10 days in jail, you don't get to sue them for that. Do you understand? That was your debt to society. They don't pay for that.
Even if I was in jail a lot longer than 10 days, I was in jail for more like 14.
It doesn't make any difference if what you pled guilty, and then you agreed with your lawyer that the sentence of the court was going to be time served, which means your penalty was the time that you served in jail, whether it was 8 days or 10 days or 14 days or 20 days. That was your penalty. Could have been 60 days. That was your penalty. That's what you just told me. So you don't get $5,000 from them.
Wasn't it up to that point?
Who asked you, Mr. Independent Witness?
Her penalty was up to that point where they said time served. She stayed in jail after that, Your Honor.
You can discuss that when you visit her later on. You get me?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now, let's get to the incident. The only question that I have, sir, is with regard to the damage. I have to take your word for the fact that initially you can shine up this thing and it looks pretty good, but within a day or 24 hours or 48 hours, some of the white powder comes up. There is no way in hell that you're getting $5,000 to repaint this 1988 truck. I want you to forget it. Now, they may be able to simonize it, buff it, repaint one layer, repaint 2 layers, but there's no way that I'm going to order her to pay $5,000 to put on 10 coats of paint on a 1988 truck. Especially one that doesn't clean up too badly. You have an estimate that says paint, $2,006 for refinishing the truck. That's what I'm ordering. Judgment for the plaintiff. You count the claims dismissed.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
For wrecking her car after a party.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom.
Who's bothering you?
Nobody.
Good.
Your Honor, this is case number 157 on the calendar, the matter of Jones versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Jones, you and the defendant were going to a party together. And you were driving a car. Whose car were you driving?
Mine.
And according to you, you got blotto drunk at the party.
Yes.
First dumb thing. And you went out to your car and passed out. And at some point, Miss Thomas came out of the party, and she drove the car home.
Yes.
That was her intention.
Yes.
And she got into the driver's seat, started the car, proceeded on her way, got into a car accident, and you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you known Miss Thomas?
She's a mutual friend of a friend that we both know.
Did you make arrangements with her before you got to the party about what was going to happen if somebody drank too much?
That was already organized. My witness.
No, you organized it. You were driving your car.
Yeah, there were designated drivers there at the party because she had planned for them to be there.
Okay. Now, when Miss Thomas came out, she got into the driver's seat. Were you aware that she was there?
I was asleep.
And what was the next thing that happened?
I woke up in an accident. I don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened?
I know we woke up in an accident. I knew that she shouldn't have ran the stop sign.
Well, you don't know anything because you were, according to you, dead drunk, right?
Yeah, I was asleep.
Drunk? All right, so you don't really know what happened. Is that right?
No, I don't know how she got into an accident.
You don't know what happened. You don't remember anything from the time you made your way out of the party and collapsed in the car, according to you, until the time you were in the accident and jolted from the accident.
Yes.
So, Ms. Thomas, I'm going to turn to you. According to you, you came out of the party. Had you been drinking?
No. I had a drink. Let me correct myself. I had drunk prior to the party because they had a gathering before we went to the party.
What did you have to drink before you went to the party?
I had a cup of Hennessy, 1 cup of cognac Hennessy.
And you had nothing to drink at the party?
At the party, no, I didn't drink at all.
Why?
Because in the party, I didn't have really that much money on me. And she had a big
jar of some kind of drink with blue juice or so forth. I don't know what it was.
That she
I
had with her?
tasted, but I didn't actually, you know, have a drink on my own.
I don't care whose drink it was. You did have something to drink at the party.
Yeah.
You didn't have your drink, you had her drink.
Right.
Her blue juice.
Yeah, whatever.
What happened when you got to the car, Miss Thomas?
When we got to the car, we sat in the car for a little while.
Who's we?
Me, her, and two of her cousins. We was talking. We had a smoke break. We got to the car. We smoked. They smoked or whatever. We
smoked what?
We smoked. Cigarette smoke. Cigarette.
Anything
Cigarette.
other than cigarettes?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
No. Okay, and we all talked. We all talked in the car, so forth, and then after that, she was sleeping in the passenger seat. In the club, several times, she told me at the table.
Who told you?
Keisha. She told me, "Can you drive?" She kept
That's
on
a lie.
making. She kept on making suggestions and asking me questions. Could I drive? On our way going there, she said that she was really feeling the liquor or so forth. She was like, "You might have to drive home." So I kind of set in my mind that I'm not going to drink too much, even though she did ask me did I have license. I told her I did not have license.
Okay.
I said, "Do you have license?" She said, "No, she don't have license neither."
I had a license since I was 16 years old, and I was always told, do not let anyone drive your car without a license.
But you did not have a license.
She did not.
I didn't have a license, and I made this aware to her that I didn't have a license.
So if you did not have a license, Miss Thomas, there came a point when you got into the car and started to drive the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to explain to me why?
I drove home because I didn't have a way home, and we were the only ones left at the party at the time. Prior to me driving home, she kept making it secure for me to drive home.
Just a minute. You get into the car.
She wasn't
She's
asleep
asleep.
at that time.
Pay attention to me, Miss Thomas. You get into the car. Is she asleep in the car?
Okay, she was asleep in the car, but when it was time for us to get ready to go, that I had her keys. Ma'am, my thing is, if I didn't have permission to drive your car, how did I get your keys?
No, just a minute. Don't ask me any questions.
That's what I'm saying. How did I get your keys?
Just listen to me.
They were in valet
Listen to
parking.
me. You got into the car, into the driver's seat of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, when you got into the car, before you started the car, have any conversation with her at all?
Yes, I had a conversation with her. She started throwing up. I had turned to her, and I opened the passenger door. I leaned and pushed her head out the door so she could throw up out the door and not into her car. I was trying to help her out. I wiped her with one of her children's diaper towel. I helped her put her seatbelt on, and I asked her, "Was you ready?" She said, "Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go." Them was her words.
Okay. Tell me about the accident.
Okay, the accident, prior to us on our way home, I had asked her, could I make a stop? She was intoxicated. I don't know if she remembers, so forth. However, I'm coming up 55th. I stopped at the stop sign. I looked both ways. I didn't see no car. As I hit, going on over to the intersection, bam, a car out of where it came from, I don't know. I didn't see no lights. I didn't see anything. It just hit us. Bam. I shook her, and I just told her that these gentlemen have just ran into us, that we had a car accident. What? Or whatever. She pops up out of her, she's like, we have a car, whatever. So by us being in the middle of the street, I backed the car up, and I parked it where we would be out the middle of the street. So here come these two gentlemen. They all ranting and raving. She's mad that we was in the accident. These gentlemen, we two women out here, it's 2, 3 in the morning. We're by ourselves, and it's two men, and then they ranting and raving. I don't know what they're going to try to do to us. I don't know if they're going to bring any harm to us. So me, with my mouth, I'm not going to let nobody, do nothing, no harm to me. I said to them, no, it's not my fault. That says, how everyone you get in an accident, they want to blame you. I'm trying to calm her down to explain to her what went on. I'm trying to explain to these gentlemen what went on. Thank God that we was over somewhere where I have family. So I asked her, I said, Keisha, come on with me and get out the car for the police or anybody. We involve the police or however. You're drunk, and they smell the liquor. She refused to leave. She refused anything. She would not agree with me at all.
Fine. So the police arrived at the scene?
No, I had left the scene.
Yeah, she left when the police
I
came.
left because she refused to help
You
me.
left the scene?
Yes, I left the scene and went to my cousin's house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They gave you a ticket for running a stop sign?
No, they gave me a ticket for no license.
She didn't even give police her real name.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kaikisha Jones says her former friend, Tanya Thomas, owes her for wrecking her car. Tanya says it was the other driver's fault.
So you left your friend alone at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
In the car with two men.
Two men that she was talking to. That she was made herself
Thomas,
accountable to.
You left. And you didn't leave and go and call the police because you said you didn't know what these two men were going to do to you. You said that to me a moment ago. You didn't know what they were going to cause any harm to you. So you leave your friend who's drunk with these two strangers, even though you were in fear, and you didn't go immediately to call the police?
No, ma'am.
Well, that was a big mistake. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes here, but that was a mistake. Don't you see that?
Okay, reason why I didn't call the police because the gentleman had already called the police prior to me calling, before I could call.
I'm not ready for you yet.
Okay.
So you heard the two gentlemen calling the police?
I heard, yes, ma'am.
And you took off?
No.
Yes, you did. You left.
No.
Hey, you left. You didn't wait for the police. Miss Thomas, you didn't wait for the police.
Yes. All right, yes.
Did you come back to the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How much later?
Right afterwards.
Were the police there when you arrived?
Yes.
Oh.
They arrived at the same time I arrived.
Okay. Did they give you a breathalyzer test?
No, ma'am.
But they gave you a ticket for running a stop sign?
No, they gave me a ticket for no license.
But not for running the stop sign?
No, ma'am. She didn't even give the police her real name because she don't have a license.
Well, they must have asked for her license.
She don't have a, that's what they wrote her a ticket for, not having a license.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Jones, let me see a picture of the car, please. Now you can step up. Now I'll hear you. Tell me your name.
I'm Loretta Smith.
Ms. Smith, how are you related to, or how do you know these two young women?
This is my cousin, and it was my son's birthday party. And I had already had designated drivers, and Miss Thomas was not one of my designated drivers. By me being a mother, there was no way I would let Miss Thomas get behind the car without no driver's license and and she was drinking.
How many children do you have?
Have one.
How old is your child?
She'll be one on the 28th.
Where was she that night?
She was at my auntie's house.
At your aunt's house?
Yeah, overnight.
How come you drank so much? Make you sick.
You know, it was a surprise party, and we were just having a good time. I had 2 drinks. I'm not a drinker, so I had 2 drinks, and it was way past my limit. Way past.
You feel as if you owe any responsibility for this accident at all?
No. There were designated drivers there. Her services were not
And I
needed.
had designated drivers
Now,
there.
did you have, what's your last name?
I'm Smith.
Ms. Smith, did you have a conversation personally with Miss Thomas about providing a driver to drive the car home?
No, ma'am.
So you did not?
No, I did not know Miss Thomas. What I knew is I had a designated driver.
That's not my question. My question was, you did not have any discussion with Miss Thomas?
No, ma'am.
About
No, ma'am.
providing a driver to go home?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And according to Miss Jones, she was dead drunk in the front seat of the car.
Yes.
So you have Miss Jones, who may know that you had a designated driver.
Right.
But she's totally incoherent.
Right.
And Miss Thomas doesn't know, according to you, about designated drivers because you never had a conversation with her.
Right.
Thank you. Sit down. You were wrong to drive a car without a license, whether she gave you permission to or not. You were wrong. You don't know whether you gave her permission to drive the car because you were drunk. And it is very possible that she got into the car and she said, "You ready to go? Let's go." And you said, "Yeah, let's go." That's possible. You can't tell me it's not possible because you don't remember because you were drunk.
Okay, can I just say one thing?
Mm-hmm.
She claims that she was waking me up all this time. I should have been woke.
Waking
me up.
I never
can
said
I
I
drive
woke
your
you
car?
up. Just a minute.
Can I go and make another stop on 5050 San Pedro, which is 2 miles away from my house?
People who want to act responsibly are not supposed to put themselves in a position where they're so inebriated that they don't remember what happened.
Okay.
That's what you did.
All right.
Now, Ms. Thomas didn't know that there was a designated driver,
Okay.
according to your witness. She is partially responsible for what happened to this car. Absolutely. You are. And if you think you're not, you're nuts. Because you were driving without a license. You had something to drink that night. And in addition to that, whether you say this car came out of nowhere, you had a stop sign. So you're wrong. When you have a stop sign and the car is coming out, you didn't see lights, you didn't see anything. That's not the car's problem. That's your
stop sign.
You may have. Listen, stopping at the stop sign does not relieve you of responsibility, Miss Thomas.
Well,
you're
I
not
am
supposed
not.
Speaking. You're not only supposed to stop at the stop sign. You're supposed to stop at the stop sign until it is totally clear for you to go.
Clear for me
Pay
to go.
attention. It wasn't clear for you to go because the car didn't drop out of the sky. The car came from someplace.
True.
You may not have seen it, but the car had the right of way and you did not.
Okay.
If the car hit you in the middle of the intersection, the car had the right of way and your car either jumped the stop sign or didn't stop long enough for you to see that there was a car coming in the intersection where that car had the right of way. So you are at least partially responsible. Now, did you have a deductible on this car?
No.
She had
no
insurance?
No. How did she know?
Just a minute.
I had liability insurance.
You
no,
do.
you didn't. I couldn't find, because I was drunk, I couldn't find my registration or insurance. Even I had liability. It wouldn't do us no good because we got hit.
No insurance at all?
No.
Listen to me carefully. What year car is this?
87 Bonneville.
It's an 87, so you probably didn't have collision insurance.
I didn't have full coverage.
You didn't have. All right, now let me see the bill for the car.
Oh. The bill. This is a promissory note, because she pulled 2 knives on me, mind you. 2 big butcher knives. Talking about she's going to kill me.
Did I just pull the knife?
2 big knives.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This was going months
Pay
and months.
careful attention to me. Put your hand down. You talk, I'm talking.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kaikisha Jones says former friend Tanya Thomas drove her car without permission and wrecked it.
This makes it easy. Is this a promissory note that you're offering into evidence?
No.
Madam, pay attention.
Okay, this is a note that when the police came, they made her write this note. I didn't ask for them to write this note, but they tried to resolve it, and they said
This was
to take
May
her.
8th. The accident was on April 15th.
This was going months and
Pay
months.
careful attention to me. Put your hand down. Are these your 2 signatures on this?
Yes.
Is this your signature on this?
Yes.
And this says, on May 5th at 9:30, I, Tonya Thomas, gave Keisha Jones $100. I will be willing to give Leisha another $100 on June 5th, 2000. Now, is that for the accident?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this was just, month by month or whatever, because she owes me $11.80.
For what?
But I needed another transmission for my car. The way we was hit, my car spent around and the transmission busted.
So is what you're telling me that this other $100 she was supposed to give you was not in full satisfaction of what you thought she owed you?
No.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, madam, exactly how much it was to fix your car.
$11.80.
Now, I see $206 and $350.
Estimate that the mechanic gave me, which is another transmission.
I don't have. I'm not dealing with that. I have this estimate here, right here.
That's a receipt.
$206 and $350. What was paid for so far was $350, which is all you paid so far.
Yes.
Where is the car now?
I parked at my dad's house because I had to take it out the shop. I didn't have enough money to get the transmission.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All you paid for the car thus far, and the only estimate that you have.
This is the estimate.
Let me see that card.
I mean, he said it got his card and it has the amount for a used transmission. I'm not trying to get over on her. I just want what's rightfully mine. That's exactly what he gave me.
Your Honor.
What?
She have my belongings that she had at the club. I have about $225 worth of belongings that was left at her cousin's house that I got dressed at. That I got dressed at.
Miss Thomas! You gave her $100 so far?
Yes.
Between what it cost, which she paid for, which was $350, Cost of a transmission is $450. That's for a used transmission. Does that sound right to you, Bird?
Sounds about right.
Then you have $250 for labor. She gave you $100. That's $950.
Okay.
And I find that you are 50% responsible for what happened that night. You placed yourself in a position where you could not responsibly get home. Put your hand down. You talk? You talk? I'm talking. You placed yourself in a position where you could not get home that night. I find that, right or wrong, since you don't remember, I take her for her word that she got your consent, even your drunken consent, to drive the car home. She had no license, she had no right to be in the car, and she did, in fact, either run a stop sign or did not stop sufficiently to see another car coming. So both of you are responsible. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $475. Thank you.
22-year-old customer service rep Ronald Jones for unpaid rent and medical bills resulting from an altercation. Ronald has a countersuit for the cost of his furniture after she slashed it with a knife.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 602 and 604 on the calendar. One in the matter of M. Zamora versus Jones, the other one in the matter of R. Zamora versus Jones. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant were living together. You planned on getting married. Didn't work out. He moved out.
Okay.
You claim he owes you some money for some rent, some bills, and in addition, shortly after he moved out, he came back, there was an altercation, and he injured you, and you want him to pay your medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when did he move out?
He moved out in June of '99.
And what month's rent do you claim he owes you?
Last month's rent.
Which month?
October.
But he wasn't living there.
No. His name was still on the lease, so I expect him to still pay half.
And how much was the rent?
The rent was $430.
Okay. Now, what kind of damage did he do when he moved out?
While he was leaving, police officers were present because previous altercations between us, after he did leave, there were damages done to the apartment.
After he left?
Right after he took all the furniture and everything out with him.
Like what kind of damage?
Holes burnt in the carpet, holes in the walls. I have pictures if you would like to see.
I'd like to see the pictures, and I would like to see the landlord's estimate. Have you moved out of the apartment?
Yes, I have.
When did you move out?
I moved out in October.
Now tell me about the next part of your lawsuit, which has to do with an assault.
He came to my apartment after he had left. He had heard rumors that I was seeing somebody new and got jealous.
When was that?
This was in September. He came to my apartment. We got into an argument. We ended up outside, and an altercation happened between us.
Well, tell me about it.
I was arguing with his new girlfriend, and he grabbed me by my arms, putting multiple bruises on me, which I also have pictures of. We were pushing and shoving, and my knee popped. The ambulance was called. I went to the emergency room.
Well, how did your knee get popped?
He pushed me.
Not true at all. Not true at all, Your Honor.
How did he push you?
When he had grabbed me by my arms, I was trying to make him let go of me. I tried to get away. He grabbed me from behind with his right hand around my throat. When I was trying to get away from that, I was twisting and turning since he had a hold of me, and that resulted in my knee popping.
Were you fighting with his girlfriend?
No, I was not.
Were you fighting with him?
Yes, I was.
How were you fighting with him?
Trying to get his arms off me.
How did you get outside?
I was trying to get him out of my apartment.
How were you doing that?
He tried to shove his way in my door, and I told him to leave. It resulted in a fight. He tried to steal my cat, try to get my cat back. After that, that's when he grabbed me by my arms and then grabbed me from behind with his...
How did you try to get your cat back?
Just ran after him.
Were you arrested for that?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Were you taken into custody?
No, ma'am.
No charges were ever filed with regard to that case?
Later on, about a month later.
I pressed charges the same day, Your Honor.
About a month. It was about a month later. I received a phone call from my father at work. Said that there was police officers came for a warrant. I turned myself in, and then it proceeded from there. I had to go to court for it and everything.
Well, that's what I want to know. You did go to court. Did you have a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
Did you appear before a judge?
I had deferred prosecution, where I had to stay away. We had to both stay away from each other for 180 days. If no altercations were occurred in 180 days, then the case was dismissed.
You may call it a deferred prosecution, but it really is a period of 6 months probation.
Okay.
Did your lawyer explain that to you?
No, he didn't explain it to me fully. Like I said, he said I had no charges were pending or anything like that. The prosecutor informed me that there wasn't enough evidence and I had too many witnesses.
Don't tell me what the prosecutor told you about not enough evidence. There wasn't enough evidence. You should have insisted on a trial. Then you would not have had a 6-month probationary period. What did you go to her house for in September?
I was with her sister and my girlfriend here. We went to her house. I dropped her sister off. She said she had to talk to her. And at that time, we had a cat that I got, and it was running around in the stairs. It ran up the stairs. I followed the cat. She was already talking to her sister at the time with the door open. I went up there to get the cat. I picked up the cat. Then the man that moved in with her after I left the place started saying stuff to me, arguing with me. Then she proceeded to argue with me. She came at me, smacked me in my face, started punching me in my chest.
Not true.
I went to walk away. Her sister grabbed her, told her to leave me alone, to let me go. I grabbed the cat, proceeded down the stairs, got all the way outside of the apartment building. She ran past me, went to my car where my girlfriend was sitting. The window was cracked. She was talking on her cell phone. She proceeded to stick her hands through the window, the cracked window, grabbed her by the hair,
Not true.
and started pulling her out through the window.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
Go ahead.
That time she grabbed her, I told her to let her go. I did grab her arms to pull her hands away from her hair. I said, let her go, let go of her hair, let go of her hair. She said, no, I'm not going to let go. I said, let go of her hair and I'll let you go. She finally let go of her hair. I backed away, and then she proceeded at me again to hit me. She got out of the car. Then Monica proceeded to go after her. When she started proceeding to go after her, she hurt her knee, fell down.
Your Honor,
Then
I
the
have
ambulance was
pictures
called.
of the multiple bruises that were on my arms that he gave me.
Oh, I'll take a look at them.
There's no other way I could have gotten these.
I'll take a look at them. How do you think that happened, Ms. Zamora? How do you think these black and blue marks happened?
By him. He gave them to me.
How?
By grabbing me and holding on to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it for 5 years. It wasn't the first time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Zamora says her ex-fiancé, Ronald Jones, owes her for rent and for medical bills resulting from an altercation. Ronald says Monica slashed his furniture and slandered his name on the internet.
All this isn't as clear as you make it appear. I want you to know that I understand that. He says that there was another person that moved into the house shortly after he left.
He lied about that.
Just a second. Did you at that time have some other person, a male, staying over occasionally at your house?
No, ma'am. Never did he stay one night. Yes, I started seeing somebody. This is the reason he came to my apartment.
I mean, I don't see why he would come over there with his new girlfriend.
His new girlfriend is my new boyfriend's ex-girlfriend.
So
That's the
what?
reason they're together.
So what?
There was nobody staying with me.
Listen to me.
I had 3 jobs to pay my bills.
Listen to me. He didn't come over there because he was jealous. He may have come over there because his girlfriend said to him, why are you being such an idiot and paying the rent when he's staying over there with her? Now, that may or may not have been true. Certainly, he was there on that September day when this altercation took place.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Put your hand down. You know, you have to be objective even with regard to your own children, right? Now, I want to know why you went outside.
He took my cat and grabbed it. That was a gift to me.
So you went outside after him?
Yes, I did.
And are you telling me you never went over to his car?
No, I didn't. I didn't even
Step
see.
up.
Didn't even see his car.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Jennifer.
Jennifer what?
Martinez.
I want you to tell me about this day in September of 1999, if you can recall it.
Well, like Ron said, I was sitting in the car talking on my cell phone. The window was cracked about maybe this much, and she reaches her hand in the car and says, get out. And she's grabbing by the side of my hair. She has it by the side of her hair. I asked her, what are you doing? She said, get out. So she reaches her other hand, and at this point in time, both arms are in about this deep. She busted my face on the left side underneath my eye. At that time, Ron went over there. He was like, look, let her go. There's no need for this. We're leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving. So she's like, no, get her out of the car. I want to beat her up and so forth and so on for whatever reasons of her own. To this day, I don't know. Fine. So she tries to get me out of the car. So So I told her, how am I going to get out the car out of a crack of a window? Let me open the door. So she's all pressed up against the door.
Okay, that's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. Sit down.
Thank you.
Sit down. I want to hear something, Mr. Jones, about your countersuit.
Okay.
You say that Miss Zamora took a knife and ripped up furniture.
That's correct.
Tell me about it.
That day, the day I moved out, she called the cops because I wanted to move out.
Why would the police be called to the house?
Because I wanted to take my stuff with me, and she thought that she was able to keep it. When everything was in my name, I had receipts for it. I showed the police.
Okay, so that's why the police were called, because
Yes.
you were taking some property out of the house. Okay, and what happened?
The police told me I had to get my stuff and go as soon as possible. So they waited there. They waited there until I got my stuff out. Before the police were called, before the police got there, I was moving some stuff downstairs to the...
What stuff?
I was moving clothes. I was getting my clothes, putting them in bags, and taking them downstairs to the basement, so when my family got there to help me move, I'd be all ready. When I came back up, she was putting a knife back into the kitchen sink. I started to proceed to move the furniture out of the living room, and there were slashes in the side of them. I do have pictures if you'd like to see those.
Can I see them, please?
I saw the furniture.
There's one slash, is that right? Is that what you're telling me?
There's a slash in each end of the couch and the love seat.
I see. Did you do this?
No, ma'am.
There's no reason for me to rip my own furniture when I paid for it.
No.
There isn't.
I paid for that furniture. That furniture was in both of our names, but it didn't matter to me. I just wanted him to leave.
Well, why do you think somebody would slash the furniture like that?
I have no idea why he would do that.
I have
Or
no
who
idea
else
why
would do
anybody
it.
would
I don't
do
know.
that to their furniture either. All right. There's another part of this lawsuit. Now you can stand up, Mr. Zamora, because you're suing him because you say he borrowed $350 to use as a security deposit for the apartment. Did he borrow that money for security deposit?
He borrowed the money to get an apartment and incidentals. He did not have a place to live. He had just started to work.
Security deposit is $445. Who put down the security deposit?
I borrowed the money from him, Your Honor, for the security deposit.
So you put down the security deposit on the apartment with his money?
Right. I put down a first month's rent, and he loaned me the rest of it for the security deposit, which I borrowed $550 from him.
And you paid some back?
I paid some back.
So $350 is left. Is that right, Mr.
Yes.
Zamora? So your daughter did not put down any security deposit in this apartment. Is that right?
Correct.
The cleaning and painting is just $395.
Yes, I'm only asking for half the last month's rent, but I want him to pay for all of the damages because he did the damages.
No. $395 is cleaning and painting.
Okay.
Half of that, say it's $200.
Okay.
But he's already got $350 in there for security deposit because she didn't put any in. You can't get it both ways. You can't get your loan back from him, plus you're going to get back the money from the security deposit that's not eaten up by the landlord's cleanup. You can't get both. You following me? Perfect. So, in addition, I don't believe your daughter with regard to what happened that day in September when she called the police and there was an altercation at the house. I don't believe her story in total. What?
We have previous police reports of their altercations.
I don't care about previous. That's not what I'm here talking about. I'm telling you, I do not believe the story that your daughter told me that he assaulted her the way she described it and that she was solely without blame. I do not.
It takes two to argue.
I do not believe that it came about the way she described it to me, that he, for no reason whatsoever, assaulted her. I do not believe it happened that way.
We have previous police reports of him assaulting her.
Stop it!
Oh, no. I mean, so he's not going to stop assaulting her unless you tear him apart.
I believe that she got bruised in the arm because she went after his girlfriend in the car. I believe that that happened. I'm not saying you're blameless with regard to the altercation that happened in the house. I believe that you shouldn't have been there.
Correct.
Period. End of discussion. You should not have been there. You precipitated something that developed into maybe more than what you bargained for. You had no cause to be there at all. But I do not believe it happened in the way that the plaintiff described, so I am not holding you responsible for her medical bills. You have a hospital report?
I should.
Sir, and I'm not even entertaining your defamation of character end of your lawsuit. She said she put nasty things about you on the internet?
Yes, yes, Your
Like
Honor.
what?
I have a paper printout up from American Online.
Let me see it. Do you have a report from any of these?
A report?
That says that what the x-rays found?
I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
Show this to the plaintiff, please. Is that your handle on the internet?
No, it's not. But it's funny. But
Yes,
no, I did not do this.
What proof do you have that she did that?
That is her online name. Her nickname is Coca. Since I've been with her for 5 years, it's always been that. My friend was online. She emailed him. He didn't know who it was. He looked up her online, her profile. That's under her profile. He called me the next morning and told me what was going on. So I asked him to print me a copy of it.
Did you ever use the name Coca?
Yes, it's been my name for a long time.
Well, why didn't you say that? I said, is this your handle? You said no.
Oh, I thought you asked me if I did that.
I didn't ask you if you did that. I said, is this your handle?
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh. Why would anybody put such a terrible thing on the computer?
I don't know, ma'am. I can't tell you because I didn't do it.
No?
I did not type those things. Anybody could have typed that.
Well, I know that. I know that anybody could have done it.
Could have even been her sister. Her sister has added quite a bit of fuel to the flames between these two, including taking him to the apartment.
Could have been a lot of things. Somebody else could have used her name, and somebody else with a grudge against both the defendant and his new girlfriend might have written that both of them are highly contagious with one or more venereal diseases. So there may have been somebody who used your daughter's name, who also had a personal axe to grind against these two people, who would write something like this and put it on the internet. That's possible. It's a bit far-fetched. It's a bit far-fetched. If I was satisfied by the required quantum of proof that she had, in fact, done this, oh, I would award you substantial damages.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
I'm very familiar with online. You cannot get on somebody's profile without your password to get into that computer.
How do I know about this profile? How do I know that somebody used
That's
her
exactly
profile?
what that statement is from. That's from her profile. That's why she puts her nickname in there. That is her profile.
Do you understand that? Bird, all I want to know from you is...
You can't get onto somebody's profile.
Could anybody have written that?
Fundamentally, Judge, anybody could have written this.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I want to tell you something. I'm not convinced that you're going to get a penny from the assault, because I think that you were at least partially involved with her, which caused the bruises to your arms, so you're not going to get a penny for that. You're not going to get a penny for your $350 that is outstanding from the loan. Get it back from the landlord when the lease is over. You are going to get $215 towards October rent. You understand? That you're going to get. I am, in fact, satisfied that the plaintiff did damage your furniture, because I see no reason why somebody else would damage furniture that they intended to use that looked brand new to me. Do you understand?
Yes.
You understand. So I'm offsetting the $215 that he owes you for the rent to have your furniture repaired. Goodbye, folks.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
सारिफीन के हुकूक का तहफ़्फ़ुज़ जिला गुजरात में कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन काउंसिल को फाल बनाने के लिए अहम इक़दामात। वज़ीर आला पंजाब मोहतरमा मरियम नवाज शरीफ के विजन और सेक्रेटरी प्राइस कंट्रोल और कमोडिटीज मैनेजमेंट पंजाब और डायरेक्टर जनरल कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन फ्लाइट लेफ्टिनेंट रिटायर्ड इमरान कुरैशी की खुसूसी हिदायत की रोशनी में सारिफीन के हुकूक के तहफ़्फ़ुज़ के लिए गुजरात में फील्ड सरगर्मियों को तेज कर दिया गया। डिप्टी कमिश्नर गुजरात नवीद अहमद की हिदायत पर एडिशनल डिप्टी कमिश्नर जनरल अफजल हयात तारड़ की ज़ेर सदारत कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन काउंसिल को फाल बनाने के लिए इजलास मुनक्किद हुआ, जिसमें असिस्टेंट डायरेक्टर DPDC चौधरी मोहम्मद फारूक ने खुसूसी शिरकत की। इजलास में चौधरी मोहम्मद फारूक ने कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन काउंसिल एक्ट 2025 उसमें मुजव्वज़ा तरामीम और मौजूदा कवानीन में इस्लाहात के हवाले से तफसीली ब्रीफिंग दी। उन्होंने बताया कि हुकूमत पंजाब सारिफीन को फौरी और मौसर रिलीफ फराहम करने के लिए न सिर्फ जिलाई बल्कि तहसील सतह पर भी कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन काउंसिल्स को फाल कर रही है। نئے قانون کے تحت شہری اپنی شکایات آن لائن درج کروا سکیں گے اور آن لائن خریداری میں کسی بھی قسم کے فراڈ یا دھوکہ دہی کی صورت میں متاثرہ صارفین کو فوری انصاف فراہم کیا جائے گا۔ ایڈیشنل ڈپٹی کمشنر جنرل افضل حیات تارڑ نے کہا، ضلع انتظامیہ اس اقدام کو کامیاب بنانے کے لیے ہر ممکن اقدامات کرے گی۔ کنزیومر کونسلز کو فعال بنا کر عوام کو ان کے بنیادی حقوق کے تحفظ کے لیے ایک مؤثر پلیٹ فارم مہیا کیا جائے گا۔ ضلعی کارکردگی کے اعتبار سے گجرات اور صوبے بھر میں نمایاں مقام رکھتا ہے اور حکومت پنجاب کی ہدایات کے مطابق صارفین کو ریلیف فراہم کرنے میں سر فہرست ہے۔ پاک فوج میں بطور سپاہی بھرتی کے لیے رجسٹریشن کا آغاز۔ پاک فوج میں بطور سپاہی جنرل ڈیوٹی بھرتی کے لیے رجسٹریشن کا عمل شروع کر دیا گیا۔ اس سلسلے میں بھرتی ٹیم 29 جون کو صبح 8 بجے گورنمنٹ بوائز ہائی اسکول بولاری تحصیل سرائے عالمگیر ضلع گجرات پہنچے گی۔ سلیکشن کمیٹی کے نمائندے نے بتایا کہ بھرتی کے لیے آن لائن رجسٹریشن لازمی نہیں ہے۔ بھرتی سے کم از کم تعلیمی معیار میٹرک مقرر کیا گیا اور درخواستیں 17 سے 23 سال کی عمر کے امیدواروں سے درخواستیں طلب کر رکھی ہیں۔ شہداء اور جنگ میں زخمی ہونے والوں کے لواحقین کو عمر کی حد میں 2 سال کی رعایت دی جائے گی۔ اسی طرح گریجویٹ یا اس سے زائد تعلیمی یافتہ امیدواروں کے لیے عمر میں 1 سال کی رعایت ہوگی۔ مزید برآں ضروری کاغذات اصل استاد بیمہ 2 فوٹو کاپیاں، تصدیق شدہ 4 عدد پاسپورٹ سائز تصویریں، اصل کمپیوٹرائز شناختی کارڈ، ڈومیسائل اور باشندہ ریاست سرٹیفکیٹ آزاد کشمیر کے امیدواروں کے لیے، رعایت کے حامل امیدواروں کے لیے ضروری کاغذات ہمراہ ہو۔ فزیکل ٹیسٹ کے لیے سپورٹس شوز پہن کر آئیں۔ تحریری ٹیسٹ کے لیے نیلا کالا مارکر ہمراہ لائیں۔ مزید معلومات کے لیے درج ذیل نمبرز پر رابطہ کر سکتے ہیں۔ 0345156816 0544920340۔ میلسی سے فیاض احمد سعیدی کی رپورٹ۔ موٹر سائیکل ڈیلرز ایسوسی ایشن کے صدر راؤ ریاض حسین ضیاء نے کہا کہ دریائے سوات میں 18 معصوم شہریوں کی ہلاکت کے پی کے حکومت کی نااہلی اور غفلت کا منہ بولتا ثبوت ہے۔ اگر کے پی کے حکومت چاہتی تو معصوم شہریوں جن میں بچے خواتین شامل تھے ان کی زندگیاں بچ سکتی تھی۔ 2 گھنٹے تک شہری دریا میں کھڑے مدد کے لیے پکارتے رہے مگر صوبائی حکومت نے بے حسی کی انتہا کرتے ہوئے پرواہ تک نہ کی اور ایک ایک کر کے معصوم شہری دریا کی نظر ہو گئے۔ اس سانحے پر پوری قوم افسردہ ہے۔ میلسی سے فیاض احمد سعیدی کی رپورٹ۔ ایم میرج ہال میلسی، بسنی، ناصر آباد، مراد پور سے حاجی حق نواز، حاجی احمد، حاجی فلک شیر، حاجی محمد اسماعیل، محمد اجمل، محمد مختار، مہر شیر، مہر محمد، حاجی ذوالفقار، حاجی قاسم، محمد آصم، محمد آصف، محمد حسن، محمد عمیر، محمد ہاشم نے اپنی تمام آرائیں برادری اور دوستوں کے ساتھ پی ٹی آئی کھچی گروپ چھوڑ کر آرائیں گروپ کے ساتھ چلنے کا عہد کیا۔ سابق ایم پی اے میاں ماجد نواز آرائیں، قائد آرائیں گروپ میاں محمد نواز آرائیں، امیدوار ایم پی اے میاں خالق نواز آرائیں اور میاں ذیشان نواز آرائیں کی قیادت پر اعتماد کرتے ہوئے آرائیں گروپ میاں شمولیت اختیار کر لی۔ اس موقع پر آرائیں گروپ کے صدر چودھری مشتاق احمد آرائیں، ملک رمضان مولانا، محمد رمضان جانی، حاجی عبد المجید مہر، سجاد احمد، مہر ریاض احمد، میاں رب نواز ایڈوکیٹ بھی موجود تھے۔ اس موقع پر سابق ایم پی اے میاں ماجد نواز آرائیں نے کہا کہ ہمارے گروپ نے ہمیشہ دوستوں کو بھائیوں کا درجہ دیا اور انہیں ماتھے کا جھومر بنا کر رکھا ہے۔ یو سی 64 وارڈ 4 رشید کالونی میں ترقیاتی منصوبوں پر اجلاس، عوام کا بھائی ماجد پر بھرپور اعتماد۔ ٹنڈو جام سے رپورٹ محمد شاہ جہاں ملک۔ یو سی 64 کے وارڈ نمبر 4 میں جنرل کونسلر بھائی ماجد کی صدارت میں رشید کالونی میں ترقیاتی منصوبوں کے حوالے سے ایک اہم اجلاس منعقد ہوا جس میں علاقے کے رہائشیوں نے جوش و خروش سے شرکت کی۔ اجلاس کے دوران بھائی ماجد نے رشید کالونی کی 8 گلیوں کو پیور بلاک میں تبدیل کرنے کا اعلان کرتے ہوئے علاقے کے عوام کو اعتماد میں لیا۔ انہوں نے کہا کہ انشاءاللہ ترقیاتی کام جلد شروع کیے جائیں گے اور رشید کالونی کے عوام کو بنیادی سہولیات فراہم کی جائیں گی۔ علاقہ مکینوں نے بھائی ماجد کی کوششوں کو سراہتے ہوئے ان کی حوصلہ افزائی کی۔ اس اعلان کے ساتھ ہی رشید کالونی میں خوشی کی لہر دوڑ گئی اور لوگوں نے امید ظاہر کی کہ یہ قدم علاقے کی بہتری کی جانب ایک اہم پیش رفت ثابت ہوگا۔ کراچی سے نمائندہ A1 نیوز محمد علی خاص خیلی کی رپورٹ کے مطابق کراچی ضلع خان میڈیکل سینٹر ویلفیئر ٹرسٹ نے لاسی گوٹ کراچی میں فری میڈیکل کیمپ کا انعقاد کیا جس میں ماہر ڈاکٹرز نے غریب مریضوں کا معائنہ کیا اور مفت ادویات فراہم کی، جبکہ ایکس رے، شوگر ٹیسٹ، الٹرا ساؤنڈ بھی مفت کیا گیا، جبکہ کئی مریضوں کو مفت ڈرپس لگائی گئیں۔ مختلف امراض میں مبتلا 1000 سے زائد مریضوں کا معائنہ کیا گیا۔ کیمپ میں مختلف لیبارٹریز ٹیسٹ بھی فری کیے گئے۔ کیمپ میں بڑی تعداد میں خواتین مریضوں کا معائنہ لیڈی ڈاکٹر نے کیا۔ डॉक्टर्स की तजवीज़ करदा अद्वियात मरीजों को मुफ्त फराहम की गई। मेडिकल कैंप सरपरस्ते आला कलंदर बख्श खोसो, रईस असलम खोसो, खादिम खोसो, सुधीर खोसो के ताउन से लगाया गया, जबकि माहिर डॉक्टर्स डॉक्टर यास्मीन, डॉक्टर रोहल करीम, डॉक्टर शाहजेब, डॉक्टर अली मुर्तजा, डॉक्टर एहसान, डॉक्टर सोबिया, डॉक्टर सोनिया और दीगर डॉक्टर्स ने मुफ्त मेडिकल कैंप में मरीजों का मुआयना किया और अद्वियात फराहम की। इस मौके पर शहरियों ने मेडिकल फ्री कैंप के इनेकाद पर सरपरस्ते आला कलंदर बख्श खोसो, समाजी रहनुमा रईस असलम खोसो, खादिम खोसो, सुदेर अहमद खोसो का शुक्रिया अदा करते हुए कहा कि मौजूदा महंगाई के दौर में मुस्तहिक मरीजों को उनके घरों के नजदीक इलाज मुआलजा की सहूलत, फ्री टेस्ट और अद्वियात की फराहमी सदका जारिया है। मुस्तहिक अफराद के लिए ये एक बड़ा रिलीफ है। इंसानियत की खिदमत अल्लाह के नजदीक पसंदीदा अमल है। उम्मीद है इस तरह के कैंप लगाने का जो सिलसिला शुरू किया गया है उसे जारी रखा जाएगा। सक्खर से रिपोर्ट ब्यूरो चीफ अब्दुल हफीज बलोच से। एक्साइज एंड नारकोटिक्स EPS रोहड़ी सर्कल ने मुनशियात स्मगलिंग की कोशिश को नाकाम बनाते हुए कामयाब कार्रवाई की। यह कार्रवाई एक्साइज टैक्सेशन एंड नारकोटिक्स डिपार्टमेंट के वजीर मुकेश कुमार चावला के खुसूसी हिदायत पर AETO कमरुद्दीन सियाल और उनकी टीम ने अंजाम दी। SIUT अस्पताल के करीब सेंट्रल जेल रोड पर सख्त चेकिंग के दौरान एक मशकूक कार नंबर CBN 474 को रोका गया। गाड़ी की तलाशी लेने पर आला मयार की 25 किलोग्राम चर्स बरामद हुई, जिसे स्मगल किया जा रहा था। कार में मौजूद 2 मुल्जिमान सैयद महबूब शाह वल्द मोहम्मद इसहाक और बरकत वल्द मोहम्मद रमजान को मौके पर गिरफ्तार किया गया। दोनों के खिलाफ एक्साइज पुलिस स्टेशन रोहड़ी सर्कल में FIR नंबर 8/2025 के तहत मुकदमा दर्ज करके मजीद तफ्तीश शुरू कर दी गई। एक्साइज हुकाम के मुताबिक ये कार्रवाई मुनशियात के खिलाफ जारी मुहिम का हिस्सा है, जिसका मकसद नौजवान नस्ल को नशे की लानत से बचाना और मुआशरे को मुनशियात फरोशों से पाक करना है। महकमे ने ऐसे इकदाम आइंदा भी जारी रखने के अज़्म का इजहार किया ताकि मुनशियात के नासूर का जड़ से खातिमा मुमकिन बनाया जा सके। शेखपुरा से खबर शामिल करते हैं। हमारे नुमाइंदा नवीदुर रहमान की इस रिपोर्ट में जिला इंतजामिया की नाअहली की वजह आवाम मुश्किलात का शिकार है। हाउसिंग कॉलोनी काशिफ पार्क में कितने दिनों से सीवरेज का पानी बंद होने से गली में गंदा पानी खड़ा है, जहां से गुजरना मुश्किल हो गया है। बदबू की वजह से लोग अपने घरों से बाहर नहीं निकल सकते। दरवाजों के बाहर गंदा पानी खड़ा है। बच्चे मस्जिद में नहीं जा सकते और वजीर आला पंजाब मरियम नवाज शरीफ सुथरा पंजाब के दावे किया कर रही है। खुदारा अवाम पर रहम किया जाए। खबर शामिल करते हैं मीरपुर आजाद कश्मीर से। हमारे नुमाइंदा कबीर जराल से नहर पर जेहलम लगे तारीखी दरख्त नाकारा हो गए। दरख्त के डाले और टहनियां गिरने लगी। गुज़श्ता रोज एक गाड़ी पर बड़ी टहनी गिरी, जिससे गाड़ी की छत पर बड़ा डेंट पड़ गया, लेकिन खुशकिस्मती से गाड़ी में कोई सवार न था। इंतजामिया फौरी उन दरख्तों को जड़ से अखाड़े ताकि लोगों को किसी बड़े मुमकिना हादसे से बचाया जा सके। नहर अपर जेहलम चीचिया टूल पर लगे कदावर तारीखी दरख्त जो नाकारा होकर बिल्कुल सूख गए। गुजरने वाली ट्रैफिक पर खतरे के बादल मुंडलाने लगे। गुज़श्ता रोज एक गाड़ी उसके नीचे खड़ी थी कि अचानक एक बड़ा डाला उस पर गिर गया, जिससे गाड़ी का छत खराब हो गया और उस पर बड़ा डेंट पड़ गया, लेकिन खुशकिस्मती से गाड़ी में कोई सवार नहीं था। लिहाजा इंतजामिया पूरी अवामी इलाका की कीमती जिंदगियों को मद्देनजर रखते हुए उन दरख्तों को फौरी जड़ से निकाला जाए ताकि इससे गुजरने वाली ट्रैफिक और लोगों को किसी बड़े हादसे से बचाया जा सके।